Welcome to the Polaris Ace Powerline Park GNCC. We're here for round number 12 of the 2017 AMSOIL GNCC Racing Series presented by Maxxis, an AMA National Championship. We're out here in beautiful St. Clairsville, Ohio, to see if the best off-road racers can stop Ryan Sipes from earning a back-to-back win. In addition to that, can Caleb Russell capture the 2017 National Championship? Now let's take it down to Rodney Tomlin at the start line.
It is your ability to operate your machine in a safe manner, maintaining control at all times. Extreme caution is required when approaching areas with high concentrations of fans. Do not take unnecessary risks that endanger the safety of fans. You will be penalized for reckless racing. Fans, due to the nature of GNCC racing, there is no fence barrier around the course. It is your responsibility to keep yourself and your children a safe distance from the course. Never turn your back on oncoming racers, and remember, stay off the racetrack. And finally, for the safety of everyone, unauthorized drones are prohibited at GNCC and will be confiscated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to ask a blessing on this afternoon's race, Mr. Ricky Towery.
Thank you, Rodney. Hey, let's go, Lord, and have a word of prayer together this afternoon. Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for bringing us all together so we can come out here and have some fun and competition. Lord, as rain's falling, it's going to be a little slick out there this afternoon. Just watch over these riders and keep them safe. Let them go out there and have a good time together. Be it the spectators and everyone that's gathered here together. Lord, once again, we ask a special blessing on our military men and women in all parts of this world every day, fighting for this wonderful country that we live in. Be with our leaders each and every day. Lord, we just thank you for the blessing that you give us every day. Lord, continue to watch over them storm victims. The storms messed their lives up. Help them get their homes repaired. Be with the ones in Las Vegas where the tragedy was this past week. Be with them, family and friends. Help them. Let them find some comfort through you. Lord, we do know that there's bad things happening in the world each and every day, but we also know that there's a whole lot of good things happen every day too, and sometimes we look over them. Just continue to bless this country. Take us all home safely when this is over with so we can get back together again one day. And we thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please remain standing. Stand at attention, remove those caps, and cross those hearts as we honor the greatest nation in the world with the playing of our national anthem. And now, your starting lineup for this Polaris Ace Powerline Park GNCC. A day of epic proportion lies ahead of us. Can we make history here today? Rolling to the line first, riding aboard the number 1 from Boonville, North Carolina, on an FMF KTM Factory Racing KTM. Heading for history here today and tying the all-time wins, Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line next today aboard the 514 from Belton, South Carolina, on a KTM SR KTM. He had the season opening win at the Big Buck GNCC, Stu BAYLOR. Rolling to the line next, he was a winner at the Snowshoe GNCC on the number 212 from Duval, Washington, on an Infab Am Pro Yamaha, and Rowdy Ricky Russell. He's featured on the event t-shirt. He rides aboard the number 314, a former XC2 champion from Belton, South Carolina, the Rocky Mountain ATVMC KR4 Husqvarna, Grant BAYLOR. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 5, an XC1 class rookie. He was last year's XC2 champion from Morganton, North Carolina, on a JCR Honda, TREVOR BOLLINGER. Fresh off his first ever Grand National Cross Country Championship win. He was the first ever ISDE overall winner, riding aboard the number 264 from Akron, Kentucky, on a Coastal Racing Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, Ryan Sipes. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 4 from Cookeville, Tennessee, on the Beta USA Beta, Jordan Ashburn. A 5-time National Enduro champion aboard the 113 from Jefferson, Georgia, FMF KTM Factory Racing KTM's Russell Bobbitt. Up next, aboard the number 984 from Hebron, Ohio, on an RPM KTM, Chris Bach. Up next, the 969 from Southwick, Massachusetts, on an MSR Arai CD Factory Connection KTM, Jonathan Garrar. The 269 from Canada, on the KTM Canada, Recluse Canada, FMF KTM, Philip Cheney. Next, aboard the 717 from Clarion, Pennsylvania, on a Beaver Creek Cycle MPR suspension, backed Husqvarna, Mason Atherton. The number 410 from Birdsboro, Pennsylvania, on an Air Group Enduro Engineering Husqvarna. Welcome back, Andrew DeLong. And last, and certainly not least, a former GNCC champion on the 114 from Australia, on a Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Bel-Ray backed Husky, Josh String. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this Polaris Ace Powerline Park GNCC, as our riders find their way back onto the starting line and ready themselves for competition today. We are ready for the Powerline Park GNCC itself, my friends. And of course, now all attention will be turning and focusing on one individual, the man with the black and white striped shirt, our referee, the official start man and finish line flagger, Ricky Towery, will begin our starting sequence in only moments here at Powerline. Rain showers are beginning, well, we'll call it sprinkles at this particular point, beginning to fall, but the massive rain that we are expecting around 3 o'clock this afternoon may be moving in a little early. We'll just have to wait and see. Current radar conditions tell us it's just a small cell, but there's a big one coming in behind it. What will it mean for today's racing, my friends? We'll find out in about 3 hours and 1 minute, as we are 1 minute away from going GNCC Racing here at Powerline Park. So our attention now turns to Ricky Towery as we begin to focus. The next signal we see will be the blue flag. That will signal 30 seconds, and a dead engine call will be less than 30 seconds away from going GNCC Racing. And Ricky Towery watches his clock closely as he lets these riders know, shut them down, guys, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. It's almost time to go, but before we do that, Ohio, I'm going to ask you, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Pretty good, but Ohio, remember yesterday the ATVs were here and we rocked this place. So I'm going to ask you out because I know you love the two-wheelers. One more time, Ohio, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? 10 seconds, and roll number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at the Polaris Ace Powerline Park GNCC. $250 up for grabs, rounding that first turn down to 314 of Grant Baylor. Right behind him, the 212 of Ricky Russell and Josh String. It is also the number 4 of Jordan Ashburn. Now jockeying for position, Caleb Russell hung out about 5th place through that second and third turn. XC2, Craig DeLong, Benjamin Kelly, Jesse Grom, Sam Evans, Zach Hayes, Dylan Rash, Braxton McGee, Nathan Thornhill, Austin Lee, Josh Toth, Brendan Riordan, Michael Witkowski, Drew Higgins, Ryder Lafferty, Evan Smith, Anthony Federico, Ryan Francis, Dylan McRitchie, Lane Michael, Tegan Temple, Tristan Landrum, Zach Nolan, and Trevor Barrett, ready to roll in 10 seconds. And row 2, XC2, Pro Class off and rolling. It is the 282, Mike Witkowski, out of North Liberty, Indiana, on the RPM FMF Maxxis KTM. Coming up next, FMF XC3 as we welcome Barry Hawk back to Pro-Am competition. The great Barry Hawk on the 379 out there along with Jack Edmondson, Devin Welch, Josh Atkinson, Mark Oresco, Taylor Jones, Hunter North, Sean Page, Jaron Williams, and Chris Vendetti. 10 seconds. And they're off. Around that first turn, it's Jack Edmondson, but looking at the 713, Taylor Jones, your WXC champion, in the number 2 spot. That's right, women's cross-country champ, opening up in second out there. 4-stroke A lights, Justin Murphy, Connor Keegan, Jay Snopp, Ryan Slopko, Bolton Buroff, Brendan Poling, Cole Madison, Tyler Braniff, Francis Quinnett, Frederick Bluon, Nick O'Brien, and Braden Moore in 10 seconds. .326. That's Brendan Poling from Grafton, West Virginia on the RideMPS.com Bonsai Jennings Excavating Pack Machine. Up next, Open A, Brady Myers, Vincent Smith, Zach Tussle, Connor Smith, Ben Parsons. Also looking at Eric Guys, Nathan Zicklow, Zach Dodson, Coke Becker, Jason Lipscomb, and Levi Keller. 10 seconds. .203 on the machine. Let's see. Oh, 85 sweeping the outside. That's going to be. Not sure. It might have been Beard Parsons out there, but we'll double check that in a little bit. We'll see how it all pans out. But 200A coming up next. Cass Jacobs, Brody Johnson, Johnny Manera, Dakota Sims, Nathan Davis, Hank Hayes, Hunter Reimer, and Reese Berner. 10 seconds.
Go. 10 seconds now. And here we go. It's going to be 10 seconds. Go.
And the 200A are off and rolling now. 701, Hunter Reimer, Saxburg, Pennsylvania. Max is Troy Lee Design, and FMAC backed rider going to grab the early lead as we go through turn 2 now. 258 class, Jesse Ainsley, Chase Hayes, Brewer Cawley, Eric Douglas, Matthew Davis, Alex Teagarden, Keith Shekernost, Owen Guys, Logan Kiddick, Dustin Vincent, Colin Cook, Nathan Rector, JoJo Bowden, also looking at Matt Keeper, Lucas Turkovich, Landon Bruner, Jonathan Johnson, and Cody Barnes. 10 seconds. 385. Good jump there for Nathan Rector out of Rogersville, Missouri. That Yamaha rider going to take the early lead, it looks like. Oh, at least out of turn 1 and into turn 3 now. Senior A, 40-plus class. Shotgun Sean Remington, Christian Boombaugh, Chad Sander, Frank Tussle, Scott Goter, Jeffrey Odell, and Jeremy Dexter. Seconds. Senior A, 40-plus, off and rolling now. 755, Jeffrey Odell from Woodford, Vermont, taking the early lead in this one quite convincingly. That A, 30-plus class. Joe Marsh, Sam Forrester, Jared Hoffman, Louis Oleon, Kevin Coffey, Nathan Alring, Ryan Burkfield, and Bill Zavindi. 10 seconds. Bill Zavindi. Oh, thread needles. I think that might have been Kevin Coffey from Wadsworth, Ohio. Still in the thunder there at the last moment. Junior AB 25-plus class. Andrew Boggs, Casey Belt, Nolan Cipher, Nick Bush, Aaron Miller, Kevin Simmons. Also Lucas Towery, Lane Hosler, Aaron Suter, and Sean Cunningham. 10 seconds. .611 on the machine, and missed the number on that helmet, but open B, James Harsberger, Jacob Prick, Grant Lehman, Matt Sorge, Alan Sams, George Douglas, Dominic Jarvis, Max Koretzko, Steven Schunkweiler, Cody Stevens, Denver DeShong, Jacob Barnes, Seth Patton, Zach Miles, Ryan Bierman, and Levi Hagenrader. 10 seconds. Zach Miles out of Dover, Ohio, unofficially, I believe, got that early lead. Senior B 40-plus class. Jeffrey Flynn, Gene Swida, Jeff Hively, Steve Leggett, Tom Derby, Gary Balish, Michael Canuck, Mark Proper, Kelly Laborde, William Lackey, Jason Stickley, Darren Darmos, and Gregory Richardson. 10 seconds. Oh, yes, Jason Stickley from McDonald, Pennsylvania on the Lenovo Racing Tri-State Powers. Stickley hauling back machine, Senior B 40-plus early leader. Four-stroke B lights, Zach Cars, Joe Spivey, Tanner Kerfman, Mike Nutter, Adam Parker, Zachariah Tinky, Eric Ross, Jack Fetcher, Chance Troutman, Stephen Peters, Andrew Tinker, Hunter Scott. 10 seconds. 333, Joe Spivey from Collinsville, North Carolina on a Spivey Construction Wicked Thunder Machine. Spivey, that is. 250 B class coming up next. Kyle Prisma, Chase Witta, Colby Davis, Aaron Waldrop, Wade Richards, Austin Glass, Ashton Glass, Brady Stefanchek, Grant Kerfman, Jonathan Harker. 10 seconds. Michael DeLosa, Blaine Kimry, Dakota DeVore, Evan Stewart, Jared Messer, and Billy Saliga. Blaine Kimry out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Universal RS Barrett Teardrop Films back ride. 200 B class, Benjamin Wright, Chase Colville, Seth Bevington, Noah Stewart, Brandon Keegan, and Casey Moore. Seconds. .318, Chase Colville. Woo, boy, that's a hard-fought one out of West Barrett, Sunbury, Pennsylvania, on a low jacks Yamaha. The Vet B, 30-plus class, Larry Hopper, Sean Morris, Adam Glass, Kevin Rammer, Wes Morris, Sean Royal, Ben Conway, Tommy Curtis, Neil Hood, Jordan Overfield, Josh Mitchell, Tim Creek, Jeremy Stowovi, Josh Nickel, and Scott Dallin. 10 seconds. Vet B, final start of the afternoon, and the final start of this 2017 Powerline Park GNCC, the 609 of Jordan Overfield out of Morgantown, West Virginia on an O'Neill Liette twin airbag machine, going to grab the early lead in this one, and that's going to do it. Over 200 riders out there on this course here this afternoon as they get set to face the elements as well as the terrain here in southeastern Ohio. Will the rain hold off? Can Caleb Russell seal the deal on the win and the championship? We'll find out. Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of dirt bike lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
As riders and racers, we understand the need to get quality parts, apparel, and accessories fast. We have the horsepower of multiple warehouses to make sure your gear, OEM parts, or accessories make it to your door quickly. Check out our easy-to-use website and experience customer service that takes the whole shot. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Here he is, Walker Fowler, Grand National Cross Country XC1 Pro Class Champion.
This will do. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Polaris Ace Powerline Park, St. Clairsville, Ohio GNCC. We're underway with our afternoon race. Things got off to an exciting start already with Grant Baylor getting out to the early lead. And here we see one of the faithful GNCC fans digging a hole. He's trying to, he's down there at that famous mud jump at the Polaris Ace Powerline Park, St. Clairsville GNCC. And these guys are already, we've got the fans are ready to watch some action here. And I tell you what you're looking at there, folks, is some slick Ohio dirt. It's going to make for some interesting racing here today. And speaking of interesting racing, we had quite a bit at our last round just 2 weeks ago in Masontown, West Virginia. We saw battles that rage throughout the 3-hour event. As we see, it looks like some of our amateur riders working their way through on screen. That is out around the 5-mile mark, I guess it would be, out just near the gate when you come in. But as we were saying, we've got a rider down there, and things already getting interesting. We got a little bit of rain this morning, making things slick, but as we said, we actually have some highlights from our last GNCC just 2 weeks ago in Masontown, and it was Ricky Russell who was getting out front early on that NFAB Ampro Yamaha like a rocket out of the start there, and in very quick fashion got to the front of this one, led the way, and if you see the rider to his right, that is Ryan Sipes muscling his way in, and folks, that was about it for the day right there. Ryan Sipes took the lead and led this one nearly wire to wire, leading his way through, and as you can see, these West Virginia rocks, although they were treacherous, they were no match for Ryan Sipes. Caleb Russell put up quite a fight early in the race, was charging and was able to keep with the very fast pace that Ryan Sipes was putting in. Ricky Russell also running in the top 3 there early. Grant BAYLOR was up there. We see Caleb Russell actually here working his way through. You can see just how tough these sections were, and he's down. So that is actually something we didn't get to see on the live feed. That was some live to tape feed. So if you watched that last feed 2 weeks ago, you did not get to see this, but I tell you what, these guys were absolutely hauling the mail, and it seemed everything that Caleb Russell threw at Ryan Sipes, he was able to come back and counter. We see Grant BAYLOR also working his way through feet off the pegs, and that was really the story of the day. And again, another time, Caleb Russell was on the ground more than his fair share. You could see after the race, TREVOR BOLLINGER had a great ride early, actually coming up, taking away that second place spot from Russell early in the race, and then they fought back over it. It ended up being Russell in second, but this man right here didn't need a front number plate. All he needed was a little bit of clear trail. He was able to open up a sizable gap and carry it to the finish line, celebrating through these final chicanes. 4 years, 4 seasons of GNCC racing. This man's been chasing a dream, and that dream is winning a GNCC, and here he is crossing the finish line for that first win, celebrating with his wife, Holly, and his son, Jack. You know that had to be a great moment for the Sipes family. And now we're back here to the live camera shot we've got at the this is round about the 10-mile marker coming in near the finish. It's quite a dynamic track that we've got here. We've got all kinds of different terrain, and actually nobody's probably going to be able to explain exactly how this track is laid out better than our very own Jared Bolton, who's got a track description of today's course for us.
Oh, hey guys, what's up? So we're back here at Powerline Park for the penultimate round of the 2017 GNCC season. Penultimate's that word that Rodney likes to use so much, but this is a great course. I think we've been coming here since 2002. It's got a little something for everybody. There's some open stuff, there's some tight stuff, there's a little bit of rock, and of course there's mud. This is the type of place that it could not rain until next year, and there'd still be mud in places. This year we've mixed it up, put in some new trail in some places, which I think will maybe give some different guys a little advantage to jump in and maybe show everybody else what they're made of. Overall, I think this is probably one of the best Powerline Park courses we've had, and actually a couple of our guys that have ridden it have already said the same thing. So with that said, let's get back to the racing. I think everybody's going to enjoy what's in store for them.
All right. So here we see the overlay from Google Maps of exactly what these guys are working with today. Jared Bolton able to give us a rundown of what they're up against. And so far, there's the start. We saw those guys. We got to see that live as they took off there. And, you know, things have been exciting already with a little bit of shakeup going in. Right off the start, there was a mud hole that we did not get to see on camera. But last round's winner, Ryan Sipes, actually did have some difficulties getting through there. I believe he went in 4th and came out near the end. Again, this is a kind of a drone view from the mud jump. Doesn't look like much from here, but I tell you what, you don't want to come up short on that thing if you end up down in the mud there. We've seen guys there buried for quite a bit of time and having to get dug out. They put the straps on them and they pull them out. The mud fleas really do the job, and there are those mud fleas right there. We're joined in the booth right now with Becca Sheets, one of our WXC racers from this morning. And, you know, Becca, as we went out there to the starting line just a bit ago, it started raining, and that was something I really don't know. Is that something we needed out there, or was there already enough moisture in the track as it was?
No, definitely not. The rain definitely could not have helped. It was very slippery out there today, and you know, sometimes when the mud does get tacky in races like this, some rain helps because it just keeps it wet all day, but you need all the traction you can get out here, and rain is not your friend on this track.
So when you came off the track this morning, the one thing that you had to say quickly was slippery, and you kept repeating it. Everything was slippery, everything was slick, you couldn't hang on. The bike didn't want to stick to the ground. You know, with this place, this is an ORV park that's used year-round for different events, from rock crawlers to mud trucks and everything else. And it's really packed this Ohio clay tight over the years. And when you get that rain, I don't know, I mean, I've raced a lot of places, obviously completely different on 2 wheels as it is on 4, but what's it like trying to race on this hard pack when you get the moisture coming up out of the ground, or in this case, when it's raining? It's got to just be treacherous.
It really is treacherous. I mean, you might as well have ice skate blades on your tires because you just slide all around the place, and traction is very hard to get it. When you lose your momentum here, it's hard to get back going again.
You know, and we're also joined here in the booth by Steve Hatch as well. And I know in the 17-year history of this event, you know, we've been coming here since 2001. And I believe this would be one of the many GNCC tracks that we still traverse. That, Steve, you probably have some experience here with this Powerline Park facility as well, don't you?
Absolutely, Johnny. Yeah, I remember sliding around here, crashing my head a lot. It's slick, as you both have probably mentioned already, but you just can't explain it to a lot of the riders out there how slick it really is until you try to turn or do anything on it, that you go sideways, and then you're on your head.
You know, in all the years of coming here, and I will be honest with you, a lot of the ATV guys really do like this place. They feel like it's a good track, and I'm not... I would say I'm not trashing the facility by any means, but as a whole, it seems like the bike riders are not really big fans of this Powerline Park facility. Is it more just the consistency of the dirt? Oh, we see there's actually been a little bit of a shakeup out here at the looks around. I think, what is that? This 5 or 6 mile marker out there. We've got a rock garden, and it looks like the course markings have been taken down. So those riders no longer need to go through that rock garden. They're actually just going out in the field and going around it. Now there is an out-around line, but it's quite a bit longer. The line that they're taking is both around and shorter, so we're sure the GNCC course marshal crew will be out there and get that course marking put back up in a hurry. But back to the idea, as we're watching some of these back markers for now come through, some of our A and B and age class riders working their way through, it looks like they still haven't put that back up, but it looks like maybe Ryan Eccles is over there, and he's working on trying to get that handled right now, because they're not supposed to be going out into that field. It looks like, look, he's shaking his hands. We can see he's not real happy with their line choice there, but that happens. You know, is it really just the hard pack here, or is it, you know, what is it about this place that makes it so difficult on a bike? Becca, we'll go to you first. You just rode it this morning.
Honestly, it's just traction. It's hard. You want to steer your dirt bike like you normally would, and anytime you try to do that, you just you'll end up knifing the front tire and almost losing your front end. You really have to try to flow as best as you can and keep your momentum and roll the outsides of corners and just do whatever you can possible to keep your traction and keep your momentum.
And Steve, in all your years of racing here, was this place pretty good to you over the years, or was this one that you kind of struggled with?
I actually like this one. Becca's exactly right. It's so slick and technical. You had to really search for good lines, and as soon as you went to a line that you thought, scale of 1 to 10, was a 7 or 8 as far as traction, and it's a 2, it's so hard underneath, you're on your head. So you think you got it. It's one of those tracks that, soon I heard Becca say it on the podium, as soon as you think you have to move and go faster, it's the worst thing you can do, because it goes backwards and then it bites you real fast. So it's one of those tricky tracks for sure.
Wow, you know, and that's, we did see so many bottlenecks and struggles this morning with that 10 a.m. race. And, you know, we just got underway with this one here, and we're going to recap our a few of our starts here. As we mentioned, it was the XC1 class. We believe that was Grant Baylor getting the start, but I think we've got a replay of exactly what happened through a couple of our starts here, XC1, and again, these guys were lined up, and it was drizzling as they were on the line, so nobody was really quite sure what to expect out of traction, and Grant Baylor was able to run it up the inside. Ricky Russell always fast off the line on that NFAB M Pro Yamaha. We see it looks like Philip Cheney on the outside there doing a donut, spinning around backwards and sliding. But watch this. Now we see Grant Baylor, Ricky Russell, Stu Baylor, and it looked like Jordan Ashburn up in there. Well, we'll come back to that here in a minute. The XC2 start, I actually didn't see this one, but it was actually Mike Witkowski out front, the 282 machine, and the always fast starting Lane Michael there in second. We see a rider backing it in, putting it into the pole there. Looks like close to homeboy there, Zach Nolan in the 3rd place spot, Andrew DeLong, Zach Hayes, a bunch of riders up there. And then in the XC3 class, it was looking at him on the back of the bike trying to get some traction, and the number 118 machine of Jack Edmondson around the outside grabs the start, followed by the 713 machine of Taylor Jones, and then it looks like Hunter Neuwirth there, 747. But around the outside, the man with no numbers, that was the one and only 8-time GNCC champion, Barry Hawk, who's out there today in our XC3 class. So that's certainly a story that we will have to watch. Another story we're just kind of getting some info in on is that Josh Strang is your leader out there on the course. We don't have footage of it yet, but we're getting feedback from the track crew that Josh Strang, the number 114 Husky rider, has taken over the lead. And these are, is this them coming here? No. They have not yet made one lap yet, so that would be, those are riders further back in the pack. We should see them next, I believe, here at the mud jump. This will be the next time that we see them on screen, and we're being told that we should be seeing them any minute. You know, this feature has been a staple for many years here at the Powerline Park GNCC, and, you know, all of the years of running it, it kind of changes. Sometimes we've got really bad conditions where the landing is almost, you know, nothing but ruts and deep mud. And this weekend, actually, it's been a little bit different because we've seen, you know, hard pack, dry conditions yesterday, then we got that rain. So it's really kind of an interesting little different dynamic here on the landing of this. The takeoff, not so much, but, you know, Steve, all the years of racing here, you know, this was back then it wasn't a jump, it was just a mud hole.
You're right. And it was even more technical back then because you just pinned it and prayed, and then when the front wheel stuck, you went flying in towards the woods, of course. So now it's a little better, hopefully.
And the spectators. And I'll tell you what, we've had another shakeup. We were told that it is Josh Strang, but that is Grant Baylor out front with the one-hander. He's throwing a little style in over there.
That's
the
awesome.
314 machine, Josh Strang, that was him in second. With the pan, we missed a few riders there. Not sure who we have, but folks, look at how soft that landing is. That is Chris Bach there, the 984 RPM KTM machine. Another rider. If anybody can call out any of these. Look at this. Trevor Bollinger opting to go around.
Shoot.
Oh, my good. Philip Cheney stuffs the front wheel in, goes down hard on the landing. So maybe not such a bad decision on the part of Bollinger. Another rider stopped on the takeoff. Wow, this is turning into something exciting real quick here. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, Jonathan Girard. I thought that was Philip Cheney. And there is Lane Michaels, so that is our XC2 leader. So Johnny Girard, a little bit of a struggle there for him. Stuffed the front end in, and you know we were just talking about that. That rain really made that landing soft and added a whole new challenge. This is, you know, this is. Normally we see even bigger crowds. I think the rain has kept maybe a few people away. But here we see another one of our, we got a little pause. We see Tina, Caleb's mom there on the face, and we'll watch that in slow-mo there. But back to the shot here at the 5-mile marker. Wow, that was exciting. Didn't expect to see that. We talk about how sometimes that's a pretty easy feature, but with the rain and the soft soil, that really shook things up quick. It was one of those things where you don't quite know what to expect. What do you do as you're approaching that if you're the first rider there? Becca, you just send it and hope for the best?
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. Unfortunately, the morning class didn't get to run it this year, but, you know, years past, if they tell you to hit it, you better hit it because, like you saw there, the landing can be soft if you come up a little too short, and going over the handlebars on the first lap is not what you want to be doing.
Yeah, that's a quick way to put yourself near the back of the pack when you don't want to be there. But I tell you what, we talk about how Grant Baylor is a rider who charges his way up through the field quickly. You know, Steve, if you're looking at a guy that's really strong late in the races and all of a sudden he's leading, that's kind of a dangerous combination. I don't think I don't want to say ever, but I can certainly say that it's been a long time. There's Mike Witkowski working his way through, and he's a little ways behind there because we saw Lane Michael come through several minutes ago. There is Josh Toth. I tell you what, this is almost the entire XC2 class, and these guys are really struggling with this, but that means Lane Michael has a huge lead. Now there's Jack Edmondson, the leader of XC3. These guys, wow, they're getting excited about it. But as we'll keep in on this, and we're going to be joined here by Rodney in a minute. But I'll let Steve and Becca. What do you guys have to say about this? More exciting than what you're expecting, or what?
It looks really sketchy to all of us on this side, and I'm kind of glad I have these headphones on instead of a helmet.
Yeah, I agree. Typically, you don't see people struggling on this until you get back to the slower riders. So the fact that the XC2 guys are struggling, and I'm pretty interested to see what it's going to turn out in a few more laps here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Becca. I don't think they're going to be able to do it very much longer because they're taking the kick out of the jump, and then the hole's getting bigger right where they're landing. And as we saw with Johnny Grower going over the handlebars, it's overrated right there.
Yep. Looks like you still have Grant Baylor in the lead with Josh Strang shortly behind him. Oh, Caleb Russell's in third. Did you see who's in fourth?
Yeah, they're all packed right together. Looks like you said those three. Yeah, it's hard to tell. We're trying to figure out who the fourth rider is, but yeah, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are right together there.
It's Ashburn.
Oh, Jordan Ashburn.
Coming through the finish line there this morning was very, very slippery. Kind of just wanted to hug the poles inside like they did. And it was just one of the most non-flowing sections of the whole track was the finish line.
Yeah, I was out there watching. Oh, gosh, darn it.
I got to chime in right here. I was watching this yesterday during the ATV race. It was nothing like this for the four-wheelers, man. I tell you, it's amazing what a little bit of rain overnight and 2 skinnier wheels will do to this particular section of racetrack.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
It's not even turned into a race. It's turned into about watching this right here at this particular point. As we welcome folks along on Facebook, as we are broadcasting through Facebook today, live stream. You can watch on your smart TVs at home as well, and also through RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin joining you here. We've got Becca Sheets, also Steve Hatch, Johnny Gallagher in house with us today, and there is the number 9 of the young DeLong. So we are nearing the completion of this first lap, and the overall right now, Lane Michael, according to timing and scoring, has got that taken care of by about 20 seconds or so, 18 technically. Grant Baylor running in second aboard the 314. The third place position overall is the number 1 of Caleb Russell. That's when they checked in there at the finish line just a few moments ago. We've got Jordan Ashburn in 4th overall right now aboard the number 4. And rounding out the top 5 is Josh Strang. And I'll tell you guys, we've been hearing a lot of interesting reports and so forth. And lots of things have been changing out there. But, wow, what about Lane Michael? Again, man, this is something we've seen him traditionally do. He starts out very strong. He's top 5, top 4 even, and I don't know that I've actually seen him 20 seconds ahead of everybody at the end of the first lap. So this might be an all-new mission statement for this young man right now.
I agree, Rodney. I know he's fast and he's a sprinter and he's super fit. So I know obviously he and Caleb ride a lot. That's going to maybe spell trouble for everybody if he just keeps it up and can get up there with even the faster guys. I think it'll pull him right along. It could be an overall win from the XCT class, which I know many riders have tried.
Well, I tell you, one thing that you've got to have is confidence in your riding abilities whenever you're here riding in Ohio this week. There is Lane Michael. He is on it. 7th physically on the racetrack. There goes the number 5 now of Trevor Bollinger, and that tree is taking a licking right there coming down the outside of that turn. I imagine there's going to be a few number plates laying off to the side of the trail after this one.
No respect, right?
None whatsoever. So as we said, Lane Michael with about an 18-second lead. And we've got reports from the track crew right now that Caleb Russell has moved into the physical lead on the track now. So that's a good sign for Caleb, in talking with him and so forth this morning. And I know with his TV sites going through, he's a little further back now than we kind of expected. But Caleb's mission statement today, run and gun. He played around too much in Masontown, he said. Today, he wants to go out, get out front, and he just wants to try to go and put as much distance between himself and everybody else, if he can. That's if he can. And he said, with these conditions, though, racing's going to be a lot tighter today than we've had in the last few rounds.
Fox closing the gap to the top 4.
Wow, Chris Bach, seeing Chris Bach, he was back 6th. He's 5th in the XC1 Pro class and 5th physically on the racetrack, but he is currently working his way up even tighter and closer. And there he is again, man. Lane Michael is all over it. And I don't know, man. I mean, there's a lot of excitement going on right now about this right now. I mean, there's a lot of people, I'm sure, thinking, okay, it's early in the race. We see this happen a lot. But, you know, things that we traditionally see and say, oh, this is what's going to happen. Tradition hasn't been tradition lately. They've done away with a lot of the tradition. Ryan Sipes in particular 2 weeks ago in Masontown. Traditionally, he has trouble there after, you know, leading into the last little bit of the race, and it's hard for him to carry it all the way to the end. Well, he didn't stick with tradition. Maybe Lane Michael's not ready to stick with tradition either today.
Good.
I love that about GNCC. I got to be honest. You guys can talk anytime, by the way.
That would be pretty awesome if Lane was able to hold it for the whole race. Hopefully he can just keep charging. I mean, he's pretty close up there with you know, Bach and everybody. Well, he was ahead of Bach, wasn't he? Physically?
He was right there. Yeah, right there.
He was right on Ricky Russell, I believe, Becca, and then Bach was only about 3 seconds behind him. So he's charging through the guys.
Wow. He is moving, no doubt. Hauling the mail out there, 523 Lane Michael. And I know the frustrations that rider has gone through. I mean, he has been up, he's been down, he's been up. Emotionally, man, I mean, he's been a train wreck so many times. But to see the consistency and how strong he's gotten, especially the last 5 rounds, 4 rounds in particular, I think the last 4 rounds might be telling a lot there. He is really a man on a mission. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little surprised it's taken him this long. You know, you mentioned a few moments ago, he trains with Caleb Russell. They literally are like big brother, little brother a lot in the off season down in North Carolina. They spend so much time together, and a lot of secrets are traded, and a lot of training regimen is shared. So I'm really surprised, honestly, that we haven't seen Lane Michael reach this level. The thing that probably excites me most about this, it's taking him so long to get here that I think once he does get here, he's going to establish himself as a tough cookie to knock off the top once he's up there.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Rodney. He's fast. We all know that. He's fit. We know that. It's just getting that maturity mentally.
There you go.
When to pin it and when to not be on the ground skidding on your head or breaking your bike. So it's a long 3 hours. You can't win it in the first hour, even though he's been up there a lot, or even the second hour. It comes to the third. So he's putting it together. I think
he's got a lot of experience running up front this year, so maybe it's about ready to pay off for him. Look at this. He got an XC2 250 Pro rider, or excuse me, a 4-stroke. I was looking at that, but it's a 4-stroke A lights rider running in the number 17 place position overall. That's Cole Madison. Right now, he would be considered your top overall non-XC 1, 2, or 3 rider, so a top amateur, if you will. Madison on this first lap of racing. We'll be keeping an eye out on watching that. By the way, Craig DeLong is running second in the class. He is 43 seconds flat behind Lane Michael in that XC2 Pro class. Our leader in the FMF XC3 is all the way up to an 11th place position here, and that is England's Jack Edmondson there, and he is leading the class in 11th place overall. So we got good things going on here. It looks like a good mix of names throughout that, and we got a lot of neat things and a lot of possible things to unfold before our very eyes here today as we're checking in with some of the mud shots down here at the FMF Powerline itself, and the masses and groups and the crowds are forming down there even in the rain. 2 options there, it looks like. Some folks electing to go a little further out and a little longer, but that looks almost as challenging, I believe, as what this right here is starting to be. Hard packed underneath, but man, it's a little soft and mushy on top, especially after sitting there for a day and being pounded over by the ATVs. A little water dragged up over that, and then of course the rain showers last night. Now the little bits of sprinkles that we have going on is certainly making that a very fun spectator area, is making it challenging for the riders, but I'm sure, and I know I talked to a lot of the ATV guys yesterday. They had a lot of fun going over that, even when it got rougher as the day progressed.
You know, Rodney, I got to tell you, I just stepped out of the booth here to use the facilities, and as I was walking, I noticed, oh, look at this. Grant Baylor has fallen quite a bit back. He is actually back behind. It looks like Lane Michael has physically caught him now. So I think we've got a new top 4, and it looked like it was Caleb Russell leading the way, Jordan Ashburn second, Josh Strang third, and Chris Bach up into that 4th place spot. A little difficult to tell. There is Johnny Gerard. He's recovered from that little mud bath he took there at the Powerline Park mud jump. But, you know, Rodney, I really can't express just how slick it is out there. I know we've talked about it. We're kind of starting to wear it out, but you folks at home need to understand just what it is that you're looking at on screen here. You know, sure, these guys standing still make it look like, oh, yeah, normal. If they would walk across that dirt that you're looking at in front of you on the screen there, I promise you'd see 4 grown men sitting on their butts. There's no way that you could walk across that. It's just not possible. It is that slick. Riders are absolutely tiptoeing their way around this course, and these guys up front are making it look fairly easy. There we see Craig DeLong has worked his way around Stu Baylor. Stu Baylor back in about the 8th place spot in that XC1 class. And right behind him was another DeLong. But look at this. Unless we missed Caleb, we must have missed Caleb, because that was Jordan Ashburn, and there is Josh Strang. So as far as we know, that is our 2nd and 3rd place riders there, Rodney.
Yes, and alluding to the dirt, the consistency of the dirt, I'll tell you, if you are a potter, you like to make pottery and things like that, an artist, this would be your dream place to live, because you've got You got mud everywhere. Just put it all together, and you can make sculptures everywhere out there. Look at this, man. This course itself is starting to tack up, I think, in some of these areas. You talk about the slickness, but the actual race course itself, now that the rain is subsiding and starting to wane away a little bit, I think starting to tack up some.
Starting to tack up, and a couple things interesting in that last little barrage of riders we saw come through. Chris Bach was in that 4th place spot, just pulled over and waved Ricky Russell by. Not sure what that was about. Maybe he felt Ricky had a better pace and he wanted to tag on and be the trailer. But another thing that we saw was Grant Baylor was charging, but he had a rider behind him that looked like he was on a whole nother level. Rodney, any guesses at who that might have been?
Lane Michael?
Lane Michael. He was charging on that little 250F machine, charging up past Grant Baylor in a field on the outside, as if to say, dude, I'm going places, and you, sir, are in my way. And that's not to take a thing away from Grant Baylor, because he's absolutely shredding, been leading much of this race and running up in the top 5. We know he's incredibly fast, but Lane Michael right now, folks, is on another level, and I think he's wanting to not only lead this thing on corrected time, he wants to go run down that #1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell and make a pass on his good buddy and training partner and say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make you my my assistant today.
Wow. You know, the thing about it is, Johnny, you say that in a way, kind of joking, kind of serious at the same time, but the reality of it is that it's within the realm of possibility right now, especially with the way that he is riding right now. And I don't know what it is. You might feel it sometimes when you're out there at Steve Hatch. You might know what we're talking about. But there are just times when you just find that zone, and it could be in the worst of conditions. It could be in the best of conditions. It could be under the worst circumstances or the best circumstances. But when you find that zone out there, like what it seems that Lane has found right now, man, you just got to go with it.
Absolutely. You guys are spot on. And it's one of those things, momentum and the mentality, and this is so slippery, like we keep beating it down to the ground, but it's one of those things that is that slick where to try to figure it out. Uh-oh, that's one of my guys. So he's got the SHR sticker on the side. Not the best line, I don't think, he found there, but he got out of there thanks to the fans.
I believe that's the recently crowned Winoa champ, is it not?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
That was Ben Wright.
Oh,
but
gotcha,
you're right. Looks really close to
I saw the same
Matt
kind of
Kiefer.
gear and everything.
Yep, you're right.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Wow, that's stopping him so quick. And, you know, I think one of the things that was neat to point out, and Johnny mentioned before, I think, ooh, yeah.
We got a battle for the lead on screen here. Look at this. Jordan Ashburn has run down Caleb Russell. And you know what? There's a saying that back in the day, it was kind of a joke. And they would say, Jordan likes the mud. Well, folks, right now, Jordan is absolutely proving just that. He likes the mud, and right now he's liking this Powerline Park facility. He's hard on the gas. Caleb Russell, as you put it, Rodney, said he wanted to get out front and run away with this thing. The #4 factory beta of Jordan Ashburn has some different ideas here. Steve, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was pretty exciting. And look at this, Josh Strang on the charge into that 3rd place spot, and he may be closing up the gap a little bit on those two.
No, you're absolutely right. And, yeah, and the only point I was going to make, you mentioned it before, Johnny, was on Barry Hawk, 8-time GNCC champion, over that mud jump, which we see a lot of riders endoing and hopefully not hurting their wrist too bad. As we all know, going over the bars is overrated, but he actually slowed down a little bit and jumped just to the dry spot. So he probably, you know, we've all walked and seen this before, but he's a wise guy. There's a reason he's got 8 championships. He probably walked it just prior to this race, and he realized instead of jumping where they're jumping all the way, it looks like, to now a hole, which is actually the worst thing you can do because it's digging out.
Well, you know, Rodney mentioned earlier the difference, or kind of the discrepancies in what we're seeing on screen versus what we watched yesterday during the PM race. And I can tell you from being on the bike, for us yesterday, the mud jump was really nothing to even consider. I mean, you could jump it short, you could jump it long. You know, unless you really did something wrong, you were going to get over it just fine. But I think we were having so much traction, we were able to hit it at just about any speed and blip the throttle on up over the top, and you could just jump and last about anywhere. Where when you have the conditions like they are today, it was so slick that these guys can't get any drive, so they're trying to carry speed down the hill. They're getting squirrely, and it's turning bad. I actually think we have some highlights of yesterday's race, and we'll get to see just the difference in how the track conditions were just 24 hours ago compared to exactly what we're looking at on screen now. So yesterday it was completely different conditions than what we're looking at here today. Dry, dusty, and you'll see, look at this, totally different. It was Walker Fowler with a good jump, but Marty Christofferson running it in deep there and taking away that hole shot. Walker Fowler quickly took the lead, said, thank you very much, it's a dusty day and I would like to be out front. The last place you want to be is right in the back, and well, that's me right there. So it was not a good start for me, and it kind of made things struggle throughout the day, but this guy kicking up dust, the #1 machine, as he's done it every race this year, out front, charging, leading the way, and on his way to what eventually would become another win in nearly a perfect season for the #1 WFR Yamaha factory racing machine in Walker Fowler. You can see these guys changing their lineup. That was Marty Christofferson, Jared McClure, Landon Wolf, Wesley Wolf, Bryson Neal, Jared McClure, Josh Merritt, and these guys are all charging their way through it, and you can see the dust kicking up. Steve, how about it? I mean, 24 hours, what a difference just a little bit or a lot of bit of rain can make. Yesterday, we were choking on dust. We couldn't see 2 inches in front of us, and today, it's just a whole nother ball game.
Yeah, and as we both know, Johnny, I think that's an interesting thought, because when it's that hard yesterday, and the base, as we both know, is very hard to begin with, and then you add, I stayed at a hotel pretty close by, but I heard that it rained from about midnight till 5 out here from quite a few of the guys that were camping.
And here is that mud jump. Look at the difference. Yesterday, plenty of traction, jumping it far, hitting in a good, nice firm spot where they're landing and riding away from it, no big deal. Jared McClure put up a little bit of a fight, was able to grab the lead. We can see he was still there tailing Walker Fowler, but eventually as the race went on, it was all Walker Fowler. He pulled out a lead. He had some time to kind of showboat a little bit for the fans through the finish, and then the second place ride actually ended up being Chris Borich in that second place spot, and third place was Bryson Neal. So that was yesterday, and folks, here we are today. Totally different deal. Looking at it on camera, maybe it doesn't look a whole lot different, but when you see these guys grab a handful of throttle, something very different happens.
You're exactly right. And like you said, where they jump right into the holes while we see all the crashes. I haven't walked that section, but Johnny, you might know, I heard it's a long way around if you don't jump it. Like we're seeing these riders trying to find a way, and there's a few more dips and obviously mud holes.
It's not only that it's a long way around, the way around is quite challenging. There's 3 or 4 ditches that they have to cross that are, with the rain we had overnight, I can only imagine, are incredibly slick. You can see some riders stuck right there. I mean, that is the alternate. They're stuck in the alternate. So it's not an easy way to go. If you charge around the outside, even if you were to not have any issues like obviously this guy is, the mud fleas are jumping in, and that's one thing there's no shortage of at Powerline Park here is mud fleas. There's always plenty of those guys. But, that guy making it look easy, making it through. But the difference between going around and jumping, which is becoming pretty treacherous as the jump, is, I mean, you're looking at a solid 10 to 15 seconds. I mean, that, when you add that up, these guys are probably going to do 6, maybe 7 laps today. And wow, that's really going to, add up over the course of time. And I think we've actually got a replay here of the pass for the lead just a little bit earlier, and it was Grant Baylor leading the way. And as we watch here, Grant comes down into one of these slick sections, and he's got a line around. I'm not exactly sure where
right
this.
Here.
Oh, yes, you're right. That's right by the start. Caleb Russell taking the slower, per se, outside line. Grant straight up the middle, and that was all it took right there.
Yeah.
And there is Chris Bach still. He was in that number 5 spot at the time. And as we look back, here comes a familiar-looking guy that we've talked about quite a bit today. That's Ricky Russell, and right behind him, I think what we're going to see is, there he is, folks, the man of the day right now, your overall leader on corrected time, the number 523 Coastal Racing Husqvarna of Lane Michael, on a mission today. And Steve, how about it? I mean, the kid is on fire right now.
You're right. Absolutely. He's pinning it. You can tell he's attacking. He looks like he's in the zone, passing these fast guys. Looks like a day at the office for him. And he's not thinking about those guys. He's thinking about winning and winning big. And probably, like you said, I think is the best shot. He's probably got it winning an overall, because the mud and lappers and everything else is pretty tough.
I tell you what, you got to believe that. There's a little bit extra motivation. Lane Michael struggled at the last round by his standards. He was leading, wasn't able to make it stick. Really struggled to finish that one out. Came in here with a little bit of extra motivation today, and so far it's paying off for him, leading this one early.
Yeah, you're right, Johnny. I mean, we both know, being racers, that it's really that motivation's 90% of it, as well as the mental. So when I think he You know, like all racers that are competitive, they hate losing, and even I think he got 2nd or 3rd in West Virginia. You know, Josh Toth had a great race and won the championship there, but he battled, and now he's thought about it for 2 weeks, and he's probably not a happy camper, and he's going to prove it to him today.
Sometimes all you need is that little kick in the pants, and it's a bad day that makes it all happen. You know, as we watch this, we've got a lot of action still left to unfold here. We're just less than an hour into this one, quite a bit of racing action left, and we're going to find it all and watch it unfold here. But first, we're going to get a word from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. When you come back, we'll be good to go.
GNCC is Bald Eagle 50 cal, cowboy boots, diesel trucks, Copenhagen, Bush Light kind of men.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best. The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
I'm Barry Hawk, 8-time GNCC champion, current Coastal Racing team manager. Coastal Racing depends on Evans coolant because there is a lot of variables in GNCC racing, toughest, most demanding sports there is. From my experience, without a doubt, Evans is the way to go. We have it in all of our race bikes, our race ATVs, our UTVs. It is for sure, without a doubt, a must on our race team. The pros use Evans coolant, and so should you.
And welcome back to GNCC Live from St. Clairsville, Ohio, and the 2017 Polaris Ace Powerline Park GNCC. Our 17th running of this great affair, round 12 of our 13-round series known as the AMSOIL GNCC Series. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher and Steve Hatch. Look at this, boys. It's getting gnarlier.
Man, I tell you what, our leaders are probably not too far away from coming through there a second time, so they're going to need to get that bike out of the way, or those guys are going to be playing leapfrog right over the top of those spectators.
Well, Rodney and Johnny, you can tell when there's about 8 spectators trying to pull one bike out and the rider standing there shaking his head. It's stuck.
Yeah, that's a good way to. It's stuck. Period. Look at that front wheel. And what causes that? I know, but I mean, can you want to explain how it really happens out there?
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Steve. No, I was out here, but I'm curious because I would like to know your explanation. I have my own, but I'd like to hear yours.
Well, on a dirt bike, of course, because Johnny can obviously tell about the quads more than I can, but on the dirt bike, so when it goes in, 2 things obviously happen. It's got a small footprint because it's obviously 2 wheels. The front one is going to absorb, because of the suspension works that way on purpose with forks, but when you land, even rear wheel first, it's going to collapse the suspension, and when it digs in, those forks are way down there by that front tire. So when you collapse it enough or get it that deep into the mud, it usually grabs those forks, and that's where you see them chucking over the handlebars a lot compared to more. I mean, what does it happen on a quad?
Well, we don't have near as much rear suspension. So when we land and you land on the seat, you've ever seen a trampoline? Well, that's our teeter-totter or a catapult. That's kind of what happens. So same effect to a lesser degree. But what I think is interesting, I'd like to know the science behind exactly what happened that caused that motorcycle to be swallowed by Earth, because that was sure what it looked like. I mean, that thing was absolutely buried in there.
It's like it's welded into the ground right now.
It took 8 guys to get that thing undone. And, you know, I think what it is, oh, wow, look outside, folks. It is really, really starting to come down here at Powerline Park, folks. This, if you're at home and you're watching us on RacerTV, you are about to get to see. I don't even know what the word is for it. Survival of the fittest, maybe, would be the best way to put it. Because I tell you what, as this rain comes down, a lot of times they'll say, oh, as it rains, it's going to, you know, it might actually make things better. It's going to wash the mud off. All it's going to do here is it's going to turn a seemingly innocuous, simple little grade into an impassable, absolute chaos of an uphill. And that's what we're about to see, folks. So pop some popcorn, make your coffee, serve your favorite adult beverage, whatever it may be, but sit on your couch. If you're driving, pull over, because you're going to be screaming at the screen on your iPhone in here a minute, folks. Things are about to get interesting.
You're right. One of the favorite sayings I had, one of my great teammates and great friends still, Randy Hawkins, said, Steve, it's like grease on glass. That's about what it's going to be right here. You're right. I bet you if we bet $100 for 100 spectators to walk across the track, only about 10 would make it without falling over. It's that icy.
They would be that lucky is all it would be. But, man, I tell you.
Hardy group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the diehards down there standing out in this right now, that's for sure. You know, and the rain showers weren't really forecasted to come in for
about another 40 minutes.
Yeah, 40 minutes to an hour, you know, plus. And between 3 and 4. And then we got that little light rain shower there at the starting line, which really didn't cause a lot, but it certainly got it in the minds of everyone. It's on the way, and it's inevitable. It's going to happen. So I think it got us all in the mindset. And wow, now we got ourselves a race, and we've got ourselves changing conditions that could change the face of this race quite a bit.
Yeah, I think, as I put it, you know, and I believe this, things are about to get interesting. What you think you know, throw it out the window, because chaos is about to ensue. You know, what we look at here, we got some nice grass, some great repeater banners. Here we see Derek. He's on screen, doesn't want to be, he's trying to get out of the way, but you know, everybody kind of up here in the pro pit area looks like they've got things under control. Well, when they come through for the next round of pit stops, there's going to be a lot of yelling going on. And what it's going to consist of is, my dirt bike won't stay underneath me and won't go down the track. What do I do? So Steve Hatch, in conditions like this, a man who's obviously certainly got an impressive GNCC and off-road resume, what do you do in conditions like this to combat? You know, we've had mud races, we've had rain races, we've had wet races, we've had all kinds of races this year and over the years, but I've been doing this a long time. I don't know that we've ever seen conditions this slick. What do you do?
Well, you pray a lot, and you hope that the sun comes out and it dries out, Johnny. But no, in all seriousness, you're right. And, you know, growing up in upstate New York, about 7 hours from here, it was usually muddy and slick. Unadilla and Tomahawk are right in my backyard. But it being that muddy most of the time when I was growing up, you have to keep the bike perpendicular is the #1 thing. So that means keeping it exactly straight up and down. As soon as you lean 1 degree one way or the other and you hit the gas or the brakes, you're coming around backwards, or the #1 crash on a dirt bike, the front end slides out.
So being a riding coach, you know, you teach your riders lean angles into corners. You teach them how to weight the bike and weight foot pegs to make the bike hook up and do what you want to do. Is this something you can really teach? Or, and I don't mean that it's not possible, but is this something anybody ever takes into consideration? Or is this more like a, well, these are conditions we hadn't planned for, so you just kind of have to know it? I mean, because realistically, to ride in these conditions, would it not to some degree go against a lot of what you teach for riding under normal conditions? Because like you said, keep the bike upright, keep it straight to get traction. But normally you're teaching riders to lean to get to, you know, a certain angle to carry their speed through a corner. I mean, obviously it's something you have to know, but what's your take on that?
No, yeah, that's a great question. And I didn't honestly know it when I was racing, because I wasn't working on describing it and getting better as a coach. So now as a riding coach, I'm always shocked, and, you know, I'm always working on, oh, here we go. Oh, dang.
That's the leader, folks. Jordan Ashburn over the bars.
Oh, and man. It's stuck in there. He hit it, and then that front wheel just sticks down. Uh-oh, these guys are going to get... Yep.
Oh, mercy.
Look at this, Josh Strang.
Uh-oh. Ooh,
wow.
Nice. He landed short, like you said, on purpose. To answer that question, though, trying to keep it so your bike is straight is one of the tricks, learning it. And it does work actually in dry and wet conditions. Obviously, once you get a berm, it's the same as keeping your bike perpendicular. So I do teach my riders to lay it over and match the contour of the actual berm. But that being said, out here today, it's really, you know, invaluable to try to make sure, and you see these riders that are making it.
Did we miss third place? Did we miss Caleb Russell? Oh, Caleb is our leader.
Okay, so was that fourth place? He's fourth physically on the track, I think.
Fourth physically, yeah, and that's, so Russell Bobbitt now has worked his way up, and I tell you what, folks, this right now is the undoing of Jordan Ashburn's day. I hate to say it. Oh, look at this. There's Stu Baylor. They're all piling in now. They're saying, what's going on? You can't, I mean, they're trying not to stop these guys. But Jordan Ashburn's bike is absolutely buried. We talked about that a moment ago. They cannot get him unstuck.
And
He came in here either leading or in second place and cannot get the help to get going. But right now, this man, the #1 FMF KTM, and he's looking behind him going, Jordan Ashburn was there a minute ago. Well, right now, Jordan Ashburn is literally about a mile behind from where Caleb Russell is. And I hate to say it, but he is out of contention for a win today.
He's still stuck.
He's stuck. They can't get him unstuck. And he went from competing for a win to his day essentially being ruined in just that quick. And all it took was just landing in just the wrong spot off of that mud jump.
Man, this is a race that he was needing today, too, because he's been kind of close and had some good runs, but he hasn't gotten and been where he's wanted to be all season. I think he's not even hit the podium so far this season, so he was really hoping to be able to do so in one of these, if not both these last 2 rounds. Well, looks like it could be a wash for a podium today here at Powerline Park for Jordan Ashburn, but man, what great riding we saw out of him leading up to this particular point.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We see Tina there. She's saying, I don't know what else to do. We're trying to tell these guys to take it easy. Oh, no. Oh, Ryan Sipes gets over it. Ooh. He got over the bad spot, just barely, though. And that's just it. You've got to either jump it short or you've got to get completely over that soft spot. If you land in it, it's like it's quicksand. I don't even know what else to say. As you can tell, he's just got to be frustrated. He went from battling for the lead to now several minutes behind, and with at this point no prospect for even getting out. He himself is stuck. They can't even get Jordan out of the mud, let alone his factory beta. And I don't make light of that. This is crazy. I don't know that we've ever seen anything like this. They cannot get that motorcycle unstuck. They're doing everything they can. Jordan is just absolutely frustrated. It looks like he's in a good bit of pain as well. It looks like, I'm sure he's okay, but he's knocked the wind out of himself when he landed. You can see just split and destroyed the visor on his helmet. As we see the split screen here, Caleb Russell, a rider that Jordan Ashburn was battling with literally just moments ago. Caleb Russell now checking in to finish off this lap of racing. Jordan Ashburn now 2 miles behind, still stuck at the FMF, or I'm sorry, is this the FMF PowerPoint?
Our mud fleas are stuck too.
Holy cow.
Never seen anything like it. Now the rear wheel's stuck. They've got the front unstuck and they can't get the rear of the bike unstuck.
Wow.
This will drop Jordan from probably outside the top 20.
Man, talk about a heartbreaker. I mean, we're sitting watching this all unfold. And, you know, these things have happened in the past, and we have not had the availability, I guess you could say, of seeing these circumstances arise. And it's just unfortunate. I mean, it's neat to see, I'm not going to lie, but I really hate it for Jordan that we're seeing everything go away so quickly for him today, and when he had such a good thing going. Caleb Russell in and out of the pits now as he has checked in with his 2 laps complete. We will update the situation as far as timing and scoring is concerned here in just a few moments. But, wow, right now it is Caleb Russell with the lead. And will that be on-time adjustment once Lane Michael makes his way in? If you're looking at the racing itself, it's kind of questionable because it is kind of close, but there is some distance between those first 3 riders there now in the XC1.
He's finally on his way, Rodney. Didn't mean to cut you off there, but that was, wow. It was almost like a soap opera watching that. You got excited for him. He was doing so well. You got kind of that shock and awe moment where he stuffs the front wheel into the ground, and then quickly followed by just absolute shock as they absolutely cannot get that machine unstuck. Ricky Russell through the pits now. Lane Michael hot on his heels. So as we're checking in, do we have the live timing and scoring up? Is it still Lane Michael leading the way? Lane Michael, it's showing 2 laps. Nope, thought it was 2 laps. Never mind. So we're still waiting to see when we get that update on corrected time. I think Lane Michael is still going to be leading this on corrected time. Trevor Bollinger now up to the back of Grant Baylor as they work their way through the VP Fuels Pro Row. And there is Johnny Gerard, a rider that we saw had some struggles there, really smashed his way in, similar to what Jordan Ashburn had just done. He did that on the first lap, crashed very hard, but he is back up running in the top 10, so maybe it's possible Jordan Ashburn could recover from this one and charge his way back up towards the front as Johnny Gerard has done, although we'll say Johnny didn't lose nearly as much time as what what Jordan Ashburn has lost there. We see Caleb Russell, not there, but just ahead of him, coming through. And now our second place rider of Josh Strang, the number 114 Rockstar Husqvarna, hard on the gas and in pursuit of the number 1 FMF KTM. He's known to ride well in these conditions. Josh Strang is a rider who does very well with throttle control. Stu Baylor in the pits and off his machine.
Yeah.
And don't know if...
Yeah, he went down with Ashburn out there a few moments ago, so you got to wonder if maybe either something happened to he or the bike during that little altercation. No, I won't call it an altercation, but mishap. Right now you can see...
It looks like they're getting ready to do some work to that machine.
Yeah, it might be more than just that. Who knows?
He's washing his helmet, though, so he can go back out.
So
he wants to get the weight off. He's planning on going back out. But I think this is, folks, what did we talk about a moment ago? This has turned into survival of the fittest here. And Stu Baylor saying, I need to get some of this mud off me while they fix my bike, and then I'm going to go out and I'm going to try and win, okay?
You know what's funny is we're watching this. Keep in mind where Stu Baylor is, what's going on right now, and then at the end of this race, we'll see where he's at. I think we might be a little shocked. This is a classic Stu Baylor moment kind of day. You know what I mean? I think we could see something pretty spectacular out of him.
Yeah, and you know, Jordan Ashburn too, I mean, was riding incredibly well. Obviously, we saw him lose so much time. Caleb Russell has come by leading. Josh Strang there in second. You can see now the rain coming down hard again. It's kind of coming here in waves. It's hard for a moment, and then it seems to let up just a little bit. But right now, we're getting one of those bands coming through that's really starting to lay the moisture down on the ground and make the conditions slick. But Ashburn certainly could come back. I just hate it for him. I don't know what else to say. In all my years of GNCC racing, I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like that. I mean, we've seen riders obviously have a crash, get stuck in a bottleneck, and lose gobs of time, but you know, there was nothing wrong with him or his machine other than the fact that the ground had swallowed it whole and did not want to give it back. And just absolute craziness. Back here, we're watching. We'll see if we can get an update. Maybe, Rodney, maybe I'll run down there and see if I can get an update on exactly what's going on with Stu Baylor.
All right, if you want to do that, or I can go.
Oh, you want to head down?
I can head on down. Yeah,
I was going to offer. It's raining though, and you got a coat. You can go.
Yeah, I've got a quad and a coat. Let me run down there and see what's going on, and we'll be right back. I'll check in with you in just a moment.
He's put his goggles back on, so it looks like whatever it is, he thinks they're near getting it fixed. I'm guessing by the fact that they're working on that front wheel. You know, Steve, as you noted, you know, he came in pretty hot there and landed somewhat on top of Jordan Ashburn's bike. Possibly damage to the front end, or what are you thinking here?
Yeah, it looks like to me, see how the left side obviously has the disc in the front brake, so I bet he probably jammed it into the fork or the wheel of Jordan Ashburn's, unfortunately for both of them, but probably bent the disc and therefore no front brake. Looks like they're changing the wheel, and if it's not broken, the two bolts that hold the caliber on, they should be pretty quick change for just a front wheel.
And how about the fact with now, it looks like they're actually changing the caliper, because those two bolts they're working on are the caliper bolts themselves.
You're right.
So it looks like they might have changed out possibly a front brake system, or at least that caliper. And you know, we had one of our WXC riders, Brooke Cosner, earlier today state that she had an issue on the front lap, or on the first lap, and her front brake lever was bent down in a crash with another rider, and she ran a whole lap without brakes, and she said she lost so much time because of the conditions, because of the way the track is. You know, I'm a quad guy. I don't understand. Talk to me. What is it about trying to ride slick conditions like this that make it exponentially harder with no front brakes?
Well, on a dirt bike, and I teach this a lot in my classes, 80% of your stopping power is your front brake. You guys pitch it sideways and use the rear brake and the motor and keep it going sideways more on the quad. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just watching you guys pin it. So you steer a lot with the rear wheel. The front wheel on a dirt bike, and I'm sure it's the same on a quad as far as straight line braking, slows you down a lot more because all your weight's behind it. So when your rear brake goes away on a dirt bike, I mean, these conditions are obviously extreme, and it's so slippery with only a front brake and no rear brake. Be pretty tough also, but I think Stu's doing the right thing. I mean, you know, it wasted probably, whatever, 4, 5, 6 minutes, but I think he's going to go that much faster for the rest of the race.
Well, we see right there, that is Jack Edmondson, your XC3 leader, who's just behind Stu Baylor. So if we look in our... I was going to look in our overalls and realize that we do not have scoring right now to see exactly where Jack Edmondson was. but at the end of lap 1, Jack Edmondson was running 11th overall. Now, bear in mind, though, we've got some time corrections to deal with of 2 minutes. So basically, the pace that Jack Edmondson is on, if Stu Baylor could match that pace and better it by 2 minutes, he could put himself back up into the top 10 overall before, or at least 11th overall as they run currently. Well, no, actually, Jack would be 10th because he's now past Stu. So he could put himself up into the top 10 overall still today, despite having to make those changes. We'll watch and we'll see exactly how that unfolds. And at some point here, we'll get an update from Rodney on exactly what the condition was of Stu Baylor's machine. As we see, look at this, the Mud Flea's working as a team. They've got a strap, they're grabbing onto the forks, they're pulling, and again, this is another rider who's been sucked into this. And we've got an update from Rodney Tomlin in the KTM factory pits.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Down here in the pits, as we said, we got AG down here. And Alan, I tell you, man, we just saw Stu go through the mud hole. He had a little bit of an issue when he landed on the number 4, Jordan Ashburn, out there. But then shortly after that, he stops in here at the pits, gets off the bike. What's going on?
He broke the front brake hose when he crashed. We got Teflon under the master cylinder so that it'll move. But with his bars, it cut the brake hose.
So basically, you guys had to replace the brake hose and everything?
Had to replace the whole front brake system.
So he's back out and running, huh? How's he feeling?
He's feeling good. He really likes this, but he's way back now.
All right, we're going to see what happens. It was a brake problem up front. I mean, because of that little crash out there at the mud hole, I tell you, man, big things are happening. But Stu is a guy that can make big things happen even after things like that. We'll see what happens, guys.
All right, Rodney, thank you for that update. And definitely, we kind of assumed it was a brake issue when we saw them working on that area of the machine, but it's always interesting to find out exactly what leads to those things. So it was a brake hose, not actual damage to the caliper or the rotor like we had speculated, but he actually tore the hose itself. And you know, there's so many things, so many moving parts on a motorcycle or an ATV. It's amazing that we don't see more riders in the pits, and that really is a hats off to the mechanics that prep these machines and the factories and all the aftermarket companies that build such durable parts. And here we see, well, there's another. Is that another one of your riders there, Steve?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought that was one of your guys there. But so now we're starting to see these guys are opening up this alternate route and really working hard to make as best they can their way around. Oh, look at this.
Wow.
Here we see one of the GNCC track crew. They're making sure everybody stays safe and stays out of the way. And man, I did not see this coming. You know, that jump was so unassuming looking, easy yesterday. You know, would have been not even all concerned about it had they run it for the 10 a.m. race. But good call for them and not doing so, because I think obviously that would have been even more challenging this morning, even before it got to dry up a little bit, and then the rain came again. So it's kind of been a seesaw of track conditions here today, with leading into the evening last night with dry conditions, getting that rain overnight, and it getting so wet, so slick overnight, starting to tack up throughout the morning race, and now conditions just really deteriorating quickly with this rain, Steve.
Yeah, and you know, it's like you said, it sometimes tacks up if the rain stops long enough, but it's not, and then we keep getting these showers in between. Going back real quick, and it's interesting for the fans out there. Obviously, KTM's serious about winning races. And one of the things they already have on, like, Stu's bike, they already had a system already built with the brakes and everything built with it. So they could just change the top couple bolts and the bottom couple bolts.
Yeah, you know, that's preparation is key. These guys are prepared for all conditions, even the mud. And, you know, with all the exciting action happening here, hope everybody stays tuned. We're going to be back with exactly how all this one unfolds. Caleb Russell still leading the way here at the Polaris Ace Powerline Park GNCC. We'll be back with a word after our sponsors.
GNCC is Old Eagle 50 cal, cowboy boots, diesel trucks, Copenhagen, Bush Light kind of men.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best.
You have to have the best equipment under the hood.
That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
I'm Barry Hawk, 8-time GNCC champion, current Coastal Racing team manager. Coastal Racing depends on Evans coolant because there is a lot of variables in GNCC racing. Toughest, most demanding sports there is. From my experience, without a doubt, Evans is the way to go. We have it in all of our race bikes, our race ATVs, our UTVs. It is for sure, without a doubt, a must on our race team. The pros use Evans coolant, and so should you.
And we're back here from the Polaris Ace Powerline Park GNCC, St. Clairsville, Ohio, round 12 of 13. This is a penultimate round leading into our final just 3 weeks from now in Crawfordsville, Indiana. This footage was from yesterday when things were a little bit different than they are now. Great turnout, tons of people, spectators and fans everywhere. Yesterday we had ideal conditions, 80-degree temperatures, the wind was blowing, a little bit dusty in the fields, and a lot of it dusty in the fields and a little bit dusty in the woods, and what a difference 24-hour makes. You know, we've got a beautiful facility that right now is turned into this, folks. Caleb Russell on screen in the FMF rock garden, working his way through. He is your leader. Oh, a little bit of dust flew up there. Did you catch that, Steve?
Yeah.
Starting to get some dry dirt.
We haven't seen that all day, as you know, and it looks icy still, but he's trying to figure out where everybody's at, and especially where Jordan went, because as you're a racer, as you know, you really have no idea. You're just like, he was just there a minute ago, which has been a lap now, but that's really unfortunate for Jordan. He's a great kid and had a good race going.
In this spot, exactly 1 lap ago, is when we saw Jordan Ashburn pressuring Caleb Russell for the lead, and now what we see here, this is a lap rider who's on the ground, really showing just how slick it is. Watch him as he tries to pick this bike up. He can't even get his footing. We're not making fun of this guy. This is really an illustration of just how bad these conditions are. He cannot pick the machine up because it's so slick. He can't hang on to the machine. He can't get his footing. But I tell you what, Caleb Russell has opened up a big lead here, folks. This is now the second place machine, the number 114 of Josh Strang. And right behind him is the 212 of Ricky Russell. And another rider we should be seeing on screen here in just a moment. And there he is, the 523. Your XC2 leader of Lane Michael is physically 4th on the track and 2nd place overall in corrected time. Was your leader after 1 lap of racing, but now after 2. Caleb Russell has displaced him by 22 seconds. He's been able to pull that gap back out. He had a minute that he had to have on Lane. Last when they checked in at the finish line, it was 1 minute and 22 seconds. So a 22-second lead for Caleb Russell, or a 22-second deficit for this guy right here on screen, Lane Michael, currently running 2nd place overall as we're 2 laps into this Powerline Park GNCC. We see some of the other riders coming by, and we'll do a quick rundown here because we've had some issues with scoring. But as we look and go through the top 20 as they ran at the end of lap 2, it was Caleb Russell leading the way, your XC2 Pro Lights leader, Lane Michael in 2nd, Josh Strang 3rd, Craig DeLong 4th place overall. That is the 2nd place in your XC2 Pro Lights class. Ricky Russell 3rd, Ricky Russell was 3rd in XC1 and 5th overall. Grant Baylor was 6th. Russell Bob at 7th overall. Trevor Bollinger 8th overall. Jonathan Gerard 9th overall. 10th overall was Stu Baylor. Now, bearing in mind, that was 10th overall before he stopped in the pits and changed that brake system. So we know he's probably going to have fallen back a good little bit there. Benjamin Kelly would be 3rd place in the XC2 Pro Lights class and would be 11th overall. Jesse Grom, XC2 Pro Lights, is 12th overall. Andrew DeLong, in his return to GNCC Racing, 9th place in that XC1 class and 13th overall. A good run for him. Chris Bach rounding out the top 10 in the XC1 class and 14th overall. Josh Toth, who was able to wrap up that XC2 Pro Lights Championship just 2 weeks ago in Masontown, West Virginia, running in the 15th place spot and 5th in the XC2 Pro Lights and 15th overall. Jack Edmondson, your XC3 Pro Lights leader, 16th overall. Sam Evans, 17th overall from that XC2 Pro Lights class, and then Cole Madison, 18th overall from the 4-stroke A Lights class. That would be your top amateur as they run right now, followed by Mike Witkowski and Drew Higgins, both from that XC2 Pro Lights class, rounding out the top 20 overall. So that was your top 20 as they checked in just a few moments ago. We see on screen here that looks to be Ben Kelly, who was our 3rd place rider in XC2. Steve, I believe this young man is one of your guys.
Yep, he sure is. Ben's a great rider and comes from New England and the technical stuff, and He's been riding great as of late. He was dealing with a broken wrist as of November 1st of last year, the really bad one, the navicular, had it operated on, been battling back. He's a great kid, doing really good with factory KTM and trail jesters, as well as the last few races and rounds, you know, at Unadilla, he battled Lane Michael for the win. So he's coming back strong, and he really trains hard and works hard.
Guys, I hate to keep pounding on things like this, but I was just checking out the elapsed time here of the overall, and it is within a second. If you look at the elapsed time, 1 hour, 29 seconds, .140 for Caleb Russell when he checked in. 1 hour, 29 seconds, .703. So about 0.6 of a second, 5.5 of a second is all that separate them on overall time adjustments right now.
Oh, wow, you're right. I was looking at the lap time, which was 22 seconds different, not the elapsed time. You are correct. That was my bad there. So they're definitely...
He's still in this one. Josh Toth in now, got himself a fresh set of goggles there, man. Josh, after wrapping up that championship right now 5th in class, he's running 15th overall. You have to think that, man, he was really satisfied that he had that #1 plate on his bike when he went to the line today.
Yeah, you know, good feeling, but right now, that's kind of all out the window for him. He's just trying to get through this one. He's slipping and sliding around this track just like everybody else, and not the Josh Toth that we had expected to see today, but still a lot of racing time left as we're 1 hour, 18 minutes into this Powerline Park GNCC. Still plenty of time left for him to put in a charge. There we see, speaking of another rider who's maybe had a little struggles today, Ryan Sipes, rider who was on rails just 2 weeks ago at the Masontown GNCC, led virtually wire to wire for his first GNCC victory in his 4-year career. And today, just not quite having that same success. Here we see a rider that we don't get to talk about too often, but Sammy Evans putting in a good ride. I believe that would be him in 6th in that XC2 Pro Lights class, charged up, and he has almost now caught Josh Toth, the rider who's won so many races this year. So when you talk about knowing conditions, you know, Steve, you said yourself that when you got close to home, you rode those slick conditions, you were kind of familiar with them when you knew you were in New York or conditions like those. Sammy Evans, I believe, grew up and lives just a stone's throw from here. So this is dirt he likes, he's familiar with, and knows all about it. So when it started raining, this young man is putting the hammer down and working his way towards the front.
Yeah, you're right. It makes a big difference, Johnny, for sure. It's pretty interesting to see the difference, too. Both Josh Toth and Ryan Sipes are 2 of my riders that won the last GNCC in West Virginia a couple weeks ago. And today they're both struggling and battling, as we all 3 know. One thing's for sure in racing, nothing's for sure. And you're only as good as your last race. So I think it just shows that the highs and lows of the sport, and it's really neat that, you know, I used to say after a race, hero to zero, zero to hero, give me 1 race. You know, good and bad. You can't get too cocky like you got it figured out, and yet if you're down and out or you had a bad race, you can't wait, and you're just chomping at the bit for the days to pass by on the calendar to get to the next starting line.
For sure, and I'm sure that Caleb Russell's been waiting to get to the starting line for a lot of rounds these last couple of races, as he has been trying to make those big steps, change history, if you will, in GNCC racing. And today he looks and appears to be on that track today. But you know, Caleb, you know, like so many, like so many of these riders, started out youth ranks into the amateur ranks, you know, and Caleb basically went from youth to like B or an A and all that stuff, and it wasn't long before we saw him. He actually got his first win right here at Powerline Park in 2011. I think it'll be pretty neat if he wins today and he ties the all-time wins record with Scott Summers. I think that'll be a pretty neat place to do it. Kind of round out his that part of his career here at St. Clairsville, and I think that'll be pretty neat. But like Caleb, you know, we focus a lot on these pro riders and stuff, but we've also been dabbling a little bit and talking because there's so many other riders, so much talent out there on that racetrack right now. We've been looking at a lot of these other classes, and one of the classes that I wanted to take a look at this week is our Open A class. What we got going on screen right here?
Another guy just falling down on an uphill, so that shows how slippery it is. It's pretty easy to fall on a downhill, but an uphill, it takes a little more work, so you know how icy it is.
And they're falling 3/4 of the way up the uphill, so it's like they're already made it through the corner and around the corner, and somehow they're they're finding a way to do that.
Well, as we were talking about the Open A, and I wanted to highlight that a little bit, we take a look at this right now. Levi Keller currently leading the class, and if you take a look, 3 minutes and 10 seconds what he has over Connor Smith, the number 67. Connor is actually second in points right now. The third place position in points is third on the track right now as well, only 8.7 seconds back. Parsons in third. Fourth place is Tyler Brunton on the track, and fifth place is Cope Beckert, who is the 521 machine. Just to give you a little idea, Brad Myers out there, Brady Myers actually is running an 8th place position right now. He's 4th in points. He's only 3 behind Ben Parsons as far as this championship is concerned. So looking at this, we got a pretty tight championship as far as our top 3 or 4 are concerned here in these last couple of rounds of racing. So going to be keeping an eye out. Levi today, though, looks like he wants to be champion. As I said, he's got a 3-minute and 10-second lead over the rest of the field right now.
As fate would have it, Rodney, I believe that is Levi Keller we are looking at on screen. He's one of the few guys I know that wears that chest protector. I'd bet a substantial amount of money that is Levi Keller we just saw on screen. So you couldn't have planned that one any better. I'm sure you guys knew that was going to happen just like that.
Sure.
We did see Zach Nolan work his way by there, went down in the rock garden there, and Alex Teagarden, one of the top riders in our 250A class, he came charging through there. Here we see one of our XC3 riders, that is Hunter Neuwirth, working his way through. Don't know what place he's running. We know he was outside the top 20. There was only one XC3 rider in the top 20 overall as they ran at the end of lap 2. And that was Jack Edmondson, who was well up.
Hunter is in third place right now. Hunter behind Chris Vendetti, about 37 seconds. Jack Edmondson, again, prevailing in these conditions. 2 minutes, 11 seconds, caught 2:12 over Vendetti. But we could see some things shake up here. Vendetti running the 941. Hunter Neuwirth, I had a chance to talk with him this morning. He's pretty psyched and pumped about being able to run this class and to ride with guys like Edmondson and Jason Thomas and even Paul Whibley and those guys. He feels that those guys have actually elevated his level of racing and riding to a whole different level.
Look at this guy. How about that guy, Ronnie? You've announced a lot of races with this guy. It's been a while. Recognize him? Come on, Rodney. Coastal Racing Husky 125.
Oh, Barry Hawk, yeah. I see it. Barry Hawk is actually 4th in the class right now. He is 38 seconds behind Hunter Neuwirth right now. So, yeah, that's funny. As soon as I started watching, I seen the style of his riding. Barry's got a unique style of his own on that motorcycle as well. And Barry currently running 4th. And I don't know what prompted him to run this class today, but my hat's off to him because it's pretty exciting, I think, for the race fans to get to see the great Barry Hawk back out there once more.
Absolutely. Super cool. And, it's just a fun class. Those guys, seems like obviously you had a couple of riders really taking it seriously this year, but a lot of guys coming back either from retirement or having fun with it. Here's another one of those guys. That is Mark Horesco, the number 412 rider, who I believe would probably be 5th in our...
He's actually 6th. Oh. Devin Welch has gotten around him, the number 311. Revan Devin, as I knew him as a young kid over in Ohio. Good to see him over here in the GNCC trails now.
But that's just it. This class has really opened up a lot of opportunities for riders that either didn't chase the whole series or just didn't really feel that they fit into the kind of spirit of the existing classes. They either like 2-strokes, and there's plenty of classes you can race a 2-stroke in GNCC, but this is a 2-stroke 125 specific class that FMF got behind this year and said, it was kind of created out of Jason Thomas needing a place to race. He just, so many years in that XC2 class, and obviously with the changes to the age rules, he gave XC1 a shot, said he just didn't like the bigger bike, couldn't, didn't want to do the XC1 thing, and so they came out with this XC3 class, and FMF got behind it. It's created for some exciting racing.
And honestly, I think it's brilliant. I really feel it's a brilliant idea. It keeps that 2-stroke revolution alive, so to speak. It gives these guys a chance to race and see, I think, the XC1 and XC2 guys at times, if they can catch up with them, see the pace that they've got to go. And it gives them a chance to feel like they're using everything that their motorcycle has. So when they do make that step up to the 254 stroke or the 450, they know they've used every bit of power they've had so far. Now they need more.
Yeah, and Steve, when you were coming up through, I don't know if you ever raced a 125, but that was a natural progression from minis to, 125 2-stroke before stepping up to the bigger, back then, 250s. Well, now, with the 250cc 4-strokes, it's correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a bike guy, obviously, but I've ridden both long enough to you know, feel and ride. And, you know, you have to, it takes a lot of talent and finesse and really teaches you proper riding skills to ride a 125 two-stroke, whereas a 250 four-stroke, it's kind of changed the game. I think it almost kind of made riders right off of 85s a little bit lazier and not practice their technique as much.
Yeah, I agree, Johnny, 100%. Yeah, and interestingly enough, for years going through from the 80s, I did bump to the 125, did motocross, and then 250 and even 500s back in the day, which was pretty entertaining.
Wow. Hold on, I got to shake this man's hand. Used to race a 500. What was it? What brand did you ride back then?
Anyone my buddies had that they put me on.
Did you race one or just
15 years old and feet straight out the back as a nervous novice.
Folks,
fourth gear starts.
Folks, if you're at home and you're watching this and you don't know what we're talking about, Google it. Just type in CR500 fails, and you will get some interesting stuff. Those are a man's dirt bike right there.
My experience was a PE 500. It was a big yellow Suzuki.
Yep.
Yeah.
Two of our good buddies, one had a CR500 and one had a KX500. And I remember one of the first motocross races I did, came out of the corner on the 500, used to my 125 or 250, which are still decently fast, but nothing like a 500. And I jumped off this jump and landed right on the back seat in the back of my buddy and landed on him because I'm up in the air going, oh no, this is not as, you know, a lot more power than I thought I was going to jump. So I jumped farther and he was racing me and I landed literally on his seat. There was knobby marks coming off the back. So you're right, but on a flip side, Rodney Smith and myself used to cross-train and practice all winter long on 125s and to get the momentum and speed up. So I agree with you 100%. This is a great class to learn how to build that and get your momentum.
There you go. And other ways to get your momentum and build your confidence is to work your way through those amateur ranks. As we take a look at some of our other classes, we were featuring the Open A class there a few moments ago. Open B class is another class that I want to take a look at today, guys. Watching this one right now, we actually have a pretty good battle going on up front in the race today with Cody Stevens and James Harshberger. Harshberger is currently third in points. If you take a look at the point standings on screen right now, Corey Jordan, 179 points, and I don't think that Corey is in this one today. Actually, I think that Corey's probably solidified the championship, but there's still battles going on back there for second, third, and fourth place positions, and even fifth back there. So Cody Stevens, the 148, he's currently leading right now. That's going to help him solidify things, but with only 3 seconds behind him right now, James Harshberger in that second place position. Will be watching, if you can, the 404 and the 69 machines. Those guys battling for second place overall in the 2017 point standing. Zach Miles, the 632 right now. He is in a third place position on the track. Seth Patton, the 510. He's fourth. Anthony Herring rounds out your top five aboard the number 745 machine. Jacob Barnes and Matt Bruffy, not real sure what's going on with those guys. Don't see them here with us today. They may have elected this as one of their drop races, and after looking at the radar, they probably are feeling real confident in their decision right now.
Yeah, I think those are some of the smarter guys that are at home listening to us going, man, this couch feels pretty good.
Yeah, and you know the thing about it is, that's the great thing about the amateur classes. That's a luxury they can afford because though we have 13 rounds of racing, I believe, 9 rounds count toward the national championship on the amateur level of things. So they have 4 rounds basically that they could either A, not show up to, or they can use as a throwaway. And there you go. So I think that's what those two guys might be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, with 9 rounds counting, they can kind of choose. Oh, look at this. We've got our, we've got some of the, looks like the factory helpers, track fleas there, waving their arms. Look at the guy standing on the takeoff there. Oh, well, we went away from it. That was Charlie Mullins, a multi-time GNCC champion, and a rider that obviously knows a thing or two about making those kind of decisions. And obviously they called out the big guns. Look at this. Caleb Russell working his way through, and they're telling him to jump to the side, and then, whoa, he had to wheelie across that next hole, and that's what they're opting to do to get these guys through that treacherous section without having to land in the hole, go over the bars, break their visor, stick their bike. So Charlie Mullins was brought down to make those kind of calls. We see Tina over there just in case they do get stuck. And it looks like one thing you will notice, Steve, Rodney, you know, you guys have, I'm sure, seen this over the years. These teams and the track workers, or the workers from the teams that are out on the track, will work to get all of the top XC1 guys through, not just their own guy.
Yeah, that's what I like about that. They're not just there for their team. They're there for the race, not just to try to win races for themselves. And that's good because, you know, they could utilize their resources to really do things like that. And not saying that we haven't seen things like that in the past, but now everybody's got a lot of the same resources. Everybody kind of helps everybody out, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think it's really neat, even on the deeper level, like you guys are saying, but not only the XC1, XC2, XC3, I've seen it, I'm sure you guys have too, Tina, Caleb Russell's mom, help pull from little kids to big riders to, you know, everybody, which is really cool to see, because it just shows they're helping everybody. Here comes Josh String by the looks of it.
Yep, and they're telling him exactly where he needs to jump to, what he needs to do. And oh no.
Right into the camera.
He's upset. He's upset with the camera platform, but I can assure you that was there. Oh no, Ricky Russell's stuck. Now Lane Michael's stuck. This line did not hold up nearly as well as they were hoping. Lane Michael has gotten around now. He's saying, "Hey guys, I was stuck first. Help me too."
Yeah, right. What a heartbreaker there.
And there is so Grant Baylor will make the pass on Ricky Russell. Russell ducking his helmet. He's missing those goggles, folks. So that's a costly mistake for him. Although it was only look at that. Oh, Russ Bobbitt jumps it and somehow stays on the machine. Well, let's just watch here, because I think things are about to get interesting again.
Well, I'll tell you, if Lane Michael was able to make up any time that time around on Caleb Russell, he lost every bit of it there in that little bit of a miscue there. But, you know, good point, and it's really neat. Had Caleb not wheelied across that, look how deep that hole is, and it's very deceiving, man. That could be, you're looking at it, it looks like it could be an inch deep. You wouldn't realize that it's actually 3 feet deep.
Yeah, you know, and the other thing is you can only give so much information here when you're trying to do this, you know, so they're telling them, hey, you got to jump to there, and then you can't stop them and say, okay, now that you've stopped here, we need to wheelie across this next one, but you got to wheelie it really far because it's really deep. Like, they don't have that kind of time. So trying to convey this information, it really gets interesting quickly. Here we see that looks to be Craig DeLong up.
Perfect.
Flawless. Hops right through there. If they could just show them a video of Craig doing that, they would all know what to do. Oh, Trevor Bollinger barely hangs on to it, but he gets the job done.
Yeah, just the difference, like you're saying, Johnny, to have that off by they basically both landed at, in my opinion, about the exact same spot, but Bollinger cross-rutted when he landed, so that kicked his bike sideways. So like you said, and here's look at tons of great riders and spectators trying to help, and this is just a mess.
Yeah, absolute mess, you know, and it went away so quickly. The first lap, it looked so easy until they started landing, and then you realized, hey, there's no ground there. They're landing in, what do we even call that? Moon mud. Well, the moon's dry. Okay, that's a bad example. Power mud. Swamp Thing. That's what they look like when they get out of there. It absolutely just sucks those bikes in and keeps them there. Lane Michael and Ricky Russell were lucky enough to be able to get out quickly. Maybe lost, I don't know, what do you think, Rodney, 10, 15 seconds?
Oh, every bit of it.
Yeah.
Ricky really got the short end of the stick. They got Lane out kind of quick, but Ricky was stuck just a few seconds before he got there and a few seconds after he got there. And they are wheel to wheel right now as they are headed toward the finish line. Speaking of the finish line, 2 lap board will be coming out as Caleb Russell is motoring his way here into the chicanes. One lap rider going down, looking over his shoulder. Well, did I do that?
That wasn't me, dude. You crashed on your own.
Caleb right now is just
look
trying
at
to
that.
get through.
Wow.
Steve, have you ever seen anything like that? The way he's just drifting through those corners?
Only in Ohio, and a funny story. His dad, Jeff Russell, obviously helps put it on, and we were racing a National Enduro, and it was so slick. We were pinning it up a hill in the National Enduro. I'd caught up with Jeff, and he hit something on a hill, really steep hill, third gear pin, kicked him all the way around backwards, which never happens, and he stayed upright. And I missed him going up the hill, but he turned around and went back down, and after that section, I'm like, holy slippery. So only in Ohio. That was that white clay, which is similar to under here. This is deceiving. It looks like it's decent dirt. It's not.
And what do you think they're saying to Caleb Russell right now? Dude, you're doing a fabulous job. Look at Auntie saying, your bike is upright. You are winning. Everyone else's bike is not upright. They are not winning. Caleb, guys, I got to go. I'm racing. You're just so, last race. And really that can be the story of the day. Obviously, we haven't been able to follow Caleb around this track, but we haven't seen him on the ground yet. We haven't really seen him struggling, where last race, it seemed like every time we had him on camera, he was laying on the ground with the KTM 250F on top of him. And that's just not a place to be. Right now, not in a bad place. The 114 Rockstar Husqvarna of Josh Strang working his way. He's finding some outside lines there, finding some traction, and just babying the throttle. Lane Michael, there he is, folks. Third physically, but look at this. Is that Russell Bobbitt?
It sure is.
Russell Bobbitt giving Lane all he can handle right now.
Wow.
Way to go, Danger Russ. Absolutely shredding in these conditions out here. that would put him third? Oh, no, Ricky Russell right in front of him. We didn't see him there. But that is Ricky right in front of him as they check in. So Ricky third in XC1, Russell Bobbitt fourth in XC1. And I tell you what, that is the best we've seen Russell running all year. Great ride for him. So the number 113 FMF KTM of Russ Bobbitt. Are they not showing?
Well, they're not showing those guys going through. What I do have showing on my timing and scoring is Josh Strang in second. I don't know that we'll watch that for just a. Lane is in second. We just got the official adjusted time. So Lane is still in second. We'll get that official time for you coming up here in just a few moments. But wow, so Lane still able to hang on to second place overall.
And there is Russ Bobbitt getting some fuel in that factory FMF KTM. He took a little drink, and he's hard on the gas. And look at this. He makes the pass on Ricky Russell in the pits and takes over third place in that XC1 class, which means, folks, Russell Bobbitt is running in a podium position. How about that? Danger Russ is absolutely putting the hammer to the ground right now. He is not letting anything stand in his way. He put an aggressive pass on Ricky Russell there as they were leaving the pits and slammed the door, not letting Ricky back by. He wanted to be out front throwing the roost, not eating it.
Well, Caleb Russell, Lane Michael, Josh Strang, Grant Baylor, Ricky Russell, your top five as they check through that last time. And as far as adjusted time this time, it looks like 46 seconds that we see now that is separating Caleb Russell and Lane Michael on adjusted time. So Caleb got that little bit of breathing room. We were talking about 0.6 of a second a lap ago. So 46 seconds, 45 seconds he was able to put between himself and second on adjusted time overall. That's pretty good stuff. He's got 1:20 between himself and physical second place ride, Josh Strang.
Absolutely, and I apologize. We did miss Grant Baylor in there, or I did. We were getting all excited about Russell Bobbitt taking over the third place spot. He was actually taking over the fourth place spot, but nonetheless, still great ride for Russell Bobbitt, and Grant Baylor putting in one heck of a charge there to work his way back up into the top 3 in that XC1 Pro class after kind of falling back there. He was leading early and then fell back through and was just barely inside the top 10, now back up into that third place spot.
Well, what I'm seeing right now, Grant Baylor is about 10 seconds behind Josh Strang, who is second in class, third overall. Ricky Russell is only 6.5 seconds from him. So theoretically right now, Ricky Russell and, then Russell Bobbitt only another 2 seconds back. Russell Bobbitt,
look at this.
Well.
They have both gotten around Grant Baylor. Grant Baylor now back to 5th. As we see right there in front of him, Lane Michael has passed him. That is not for position in the class, but that was Russell Bobbitt and Ricky Russell in front of him there who had both made the pass. So just as quickly as we saw Grant up to 3rd, now he's back to 5th. These guys are just playing leapfrog out there.
Everything happens very quickly here in Ohio. It's just like Steve was talking about, Jeff Russell making that little turnaround on the hill, man. I mean, those are the kinds of things. It's the clay that really, I think, gives us the different kinds of racing. And, that's one thing I pointed out, this being the 12th round of racing, oftentimes championships are wrapped up. We do get a chance to actually wrap one up here today, but most of the championships are wrapped up. You don't have a whole lot to look forward to unless somebody wants to try to do something different or new. But, man, Ohio, this 12th round, St. Clairsville Powerline always brings something interesting to the table. When you leave here, it's kind of like one of those situations that leaves you wanting more type scenarios.
Yeah, and I think, these conditions...
Maybe not today. Maybe not today.
Looks like Josh Strang, right, he's second. So, yeah, adding that to it, like I know obviously Caleb's going for his championship. One of these...
Sorry, we got a motorhome that's getting real risky here.
Oh, geez. That lady way down there better get out of the way.
Yeah, I think so. If you think it's slippery on the track as we're watching here, I'm sorry, we're missing action on the screen. Grant Baylor coming through. Looks like there is Lane Michael coming through. Russell Bobbitt in there as well, and Ricky Russell. So these guys all wheel to wheel to wheel to wheel to wheel. So many wheels, as Bjorn Hamrick would say. There was a lot of battling going. Wheel to wheel to wheel. I don't know how many times I heard that over the years, but it really is the tale of the day with these guys absolutely just battling. And in these conditions, it's just bringing out the really bringing out the excitement, because I think these guys are hanging on tight and trying to find some traction, and I'm hanging on to my seat as I watch these guys get all kinds of crazy through some of these sections. Now we see, I believe that is Johnny Gerard, and we saw him have that big get off early on the mud jump down there at the Powerline mud hole, and he's able to charge his way back and up into the top 10 overall for sure. Don't know exactly where he stands there, but yeah, 8th overall. So followed closely by Trevor Bollinger in 9th, and then rounding out the top 10 was Benjamin Kelly, which would be 3rd place in that XT2 Pro Lights class.
A little further down, there's BAYLOR, 2 minutes 55 seconds back now in 13th place overall. He's 2:55 behind the, I believe that would be Trevor Bollinger, actually, who is the 7th place position. So Stu's 8th in class still. He's 13th overall, but got a long road to hoe to catch up to the next position.
Well, Trevor Bollinger's looking back to see if BAYLOR's behind him. He took a look over his shoulder there. That is the 7th place rider of Trevor Bollinger we just saw on screen. 7th place in XC1. So, Steve, we were talking a lap ago as Rodney was down there getting the details on exactly what was going on with Stu BAYLOR. If he were to get on the gas and really make something of this, how far up in the overall could he climb? We speculated he might be able to get in or near that top 10, and just a lap later up into 13th. So he's still definitely charging, and with some time left, he's got a pretty big gap to make up to get into that top 10, as Rodney was saying. He is about 2 minutes and some seconds, almost 3 minutes behind. But it certainly is possible if he's able to keep the pace up that he's on right now. He's doing work out there.
Yeah, good point. You know, these guys never give up, and I'm just thinking, too, as you said, Johnny Groer, he's one of them that actually crashed in the very second turn coming down the hill, dead last. In the XC1 class early, and then he crashed in the mud hole the first lap, and then he crashed into Ashburn. So point being is these guys never give up. It's never over till it's over. This muddy race, you just got to keep chugging along. And yeah, there we go. There's Stu, which looks like just behind, and there he just got by Josh Toth, and right ahead of him is Benjamin Kelly. So it's never over till it's over, and these tracks and conditions are so difficult, so tough, that if you get your momentum going right, you can make up or lose 1 or 2 or 3 minutes from your normal good lap time or bad lap time.
Absolutely. You know, and there we see a guy that's on a good lap right now, Caleb Russell, on another heater, making it look like he's just cruising, but he's making it look pretty easy out there, hard on the hammer, and getting the job done. He's doing exactly what he needs to do with a 1 and 20 second gap as we last looked at timing and scoring there. So we're going to be a couple minutes here, or a minute or more, until we see our 2nd place rider come through, which physically we still believe will be the number 114 machine of Josh Strang. But Strang, Lane Michael, BAYLOR, Russell, and also Russell Bobbitt, those guys are all real close together there. I think we had, when we last looked, it was only 10-second gap from Josh Strang back to Grant BAYLOR, and we have to specify which BAYLOR we're talking about, because the other BAYLOR on the charge is Stu BAYLOR, like we were just talking about. He's actually now, a lap ago, we saw him battling with some XC3 guys and even some A riders, and now he's up well into the top 3 or 4 in that XC2 Pro Lights class physically. Again, as he slowly just chips away at trying to get his way back up into the top 10. A rider we've talked about quite a bit, obviously, today. We split away, but that was the 264 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna machine, I'm sorry, Coastal Racing Husqvarna machine of Ryan Sipes, and a rider that was absolutely on a dream, as Rodney would say, a ride that dreams were made of 2 weeks ago at Masontown. Today, I think maybe more of a nightmare would be a better analogy for it. Still inside the top 10, I believe, in that XC1 Pro class, but I don't know where he stands in that overall. Chris Bach coming by there on screen just behind him. So there is Josh Strang, the number 114 machine. We'll see exactly what that gap is back to the 3rd place rider as Strang went through there at 1:45.13. So we'll wait and see. We're expecting, could it be Grant BAYLOR? Could it be Russell Bobbitt? Now he is officially 3rd in that XC1 Pro class, and he is only
about 14 seconds.
14 seconds behind, but hot on his heels. Did you see that number 314? There he was. That was Grant BAYLOR, and then right behind him, the 212 of Ricky Russell. So we've got essentially a 4-rider battle right now over only 2 podium spots. So 2 guys are going to get left out in the cold on those second 2 podium spots. About a 1 and 20 second gap to Caleb Russell in the lead, but those next 4 guys are absolutely battling. Here is your XC2 Pro Lights leader, the 523 of Lane Michael. We know he was up in there physically ahead of those guys, so starting to maybe lose pace a little bit. Who knows? Maybe he was in the pits, got himself tuned up with some fresh goggles. We'll see if he puts another charge in to get back up there with that group in front of him. Is that Johnny Gerard? It is. How do you know how to pronounce that exactly? Is it Gerard? Or?
I think I mutilated it. I think
okay, I heard you pronounce it differently, so I was going to go with your pronunciation. But
I know he's one of the top guys at J-Day and dominates up there, and a fast rider.
I know they call him Johnny G,
yeah,
which I don't really like. Because that's me. I don't think
your name's easier to say.
Yeah,
so we might at least give him that.
And maybe that's why they call him that, because nobody knows how to pronounce it. Is it Gerard? Is it Gerard? It's French.
Gerard.
Gerard. Well, whatever it is,
probably it right there. We're probably
putting in
it's probably how you say it.
A breakthrough ride today inside the top, what is he, 6th in that XC1 Pro class, which I believe is the best we've ever seen him this late in a race. Now, we have seen some flashes of brilliance out of him in the past. If we think back, I believe it was about 3 years ago at the Unadilla GNCC, we saw him actually physically battling for the lead with Caleb Russell and Charlie Mullins, and was leading, and at one point I think it pulled about a 40-second gap. His sprint speed is pretty gnarly. This guy's on the charge as well, Trevor Bollinger, in that bright high-vis fly racing gear. He's saying, hey guys, it's muddy, but you can see me. One thing he does not want to see is exactly if Stu Baylor is able to close up that gap. Nearly 3 minutes we had last seen. He would be the next victim on Baylor's hit list if he can keep it going, but a big gap he's got to go to make that up as far as the overall spots.
Well, I tell you, as we keep a close eye on what's going on up front, and very close eye, obviously, for good reasons, I believe all Caleb Russell had to do today was basically start the race today, and he clinched that 5th championship. He is on his way to possibly tying Scott Summers in the all-time wins record at 46 wins. But we got big things going on all through the pack right now, and start turning our attention a little bit to some of this 250A action out here. How about Alex Teagarden, all the way up to 15th place overall as he leads the 250A class. So 15th overall as he just checked in a few moments ago. And I'm going to tell you.
Oh, hold on, Rodney. Are you guys planning this? There's Alex Teagarden. What? Come on. This isn't even possible. Every time Rodney talks about somebody, they pop up on. Why don't you start talking about Mohawks and Austin Lee now, since he's on screen?
Well, we'll talk about him here in just a little bit. But I just thought that would be noteworthy and some.
Caleb Russell down in the rocks. He's lost a little bit of time, nothing major. We know he's got about 1:20, but those kind of mistakes, if they add up, he's doing some banging on that front brake lever. Looks like he bent that. He's on his way. No major loss. What do you think, Steve? Maybe 15 seconds or so?
Yeah, maybe if that. It looks like his front fender's broken too from the mud, or he cracked it before. He is trying to get that front brake more organized and probably bent it down. But like they said, they run the Teflon tape underneath it, so it will spin a little. But it looks like, yeah, you can see his hand guard down a little bit there too. But yeah, to add to your point, Rodney, yeah, Alex Teagarden, one of my guys also, and he's pinning it. He's won the last 4. If he can win this one and the next one, he could get the championship in 250A. I think there's, I'm trying to remember who's in 2nd, but a couple more of my guys are in 3rd and 4th, so I'm always looking and trying to figure out where they're all at.
Johnson's running 2nd and 35th overall right now in that 250A
then
class.
Should be JoJo Bowden, and then Matt Kiefer, all my guys. And JoJo's coming back from a torn ACL, so he's been out for 6 months, so he's really making a good charge. So, yep, here we go. Here's some
there's the point standings right now. Jonathan Johnson actually leading this, but look how tight the point standings are amongst our top 3. Johnson, Teagarden, and Cody Barnes. Is Cody one of your guys too?
No, he's not, but this is Alex Teagarden's dad that's excited for Alex riding really good the last few 5 GNCCs. So no, he's not. I don't work with Jonathan Johnson.
Well, I tell you, there's a 4-point difference there, only 1 point between 2nd and 3rd, and these next 2 rounds are going to be pretty critical. If you take a look at it, I'm not sure, but I think the amateur points are, 1 point at a time, something like that? Are they the 30, 25 also? I can't remember how they do the amateur points.
I honestly can't tell you either.
Well, 100 and some points is an awful lot of points. 170 points is an awful lot, but...
Yeah, in what, we're at the 11th round, say that he averaged, 20.
That could do it, yeah.
Yeah, that could do it,
right?
right?
So a point, so, man, I tell you, it's tough this late in the season to make up the points that you're going to need to make up. But with these 2 rounds left to go, we still have a big light at the end of the tunnel. And I got to tell you that your 258 leader right now, he's really in a good position to help boost himself up in those points in the 250A class.
You're right. I think talking to his dad before the race, who just ran by to give Alex some water, I'm pretty sure he said if they could win the next two, even if he got second, they would actually tie on points. That's what it was. And Alex would have more wins. So it's really down to the wire.
These
really
guys
excited. There's Alex right here.
There he is coming in right now. And it's amazing to me how much these guys have done the math. They know exactly where they stand in the point standings and so forth, and they know what they're looking to do. And to me, it just makes it that much more exciting to watch and wait just to see what happens.
Absolutely, and it's, you know, like we said, these championships, some have been decided and some haven't, and it's neat to see all these guys and gals racing hard for getting their goals and dreams. So it's exciting to see and see them work so hard behind the scenes and really push to get those results is really cool.
All right, now as we continue along, we were looking at that 250A class. I know we got some stellar competition as well in the 250B class today, and I know these guys are probably struggling quite a bit. And we'll take a look at that here in just a few moments. But, you know, taking a look at this now, Dakota DeVore, Blaine Kimmery, and Mike DeLosa are your top three in that. Wow, man. Looking at the differences here, this 250B class, we're seeing 2 minutes 13 seconds between first and second, 6 minutes 54 seconds between second and third, 2:24 between third and fourth, and another 2:30 all the way back to the fifth place position. So there's not really a lot of stiff competition going on today in that B class. But I tell you, I think the conditions probably warrant a lot of that. And speaking of conditions, you know, they've been like this for the most part, you would think, all day. But yes and no. We started out this morning. We had some rain showers last night. About 2 o'clock this morning, my trailer got rocked pretty good, and it was just coming down. And then it kind of subsided, and the track crew got up this morning and was greeted with some low-lying areas full of water. So they had to go out and they did a few little track changes and stuff. But, man, I tell you, they put together a spectacular youth race today. And there was a great battle that was going on all day. The one that a lot of folks were watching was to see whether or not Zach Davidson was going to be able to win the championship. And I know he had a lot of pressure on him after a little mishap over in Masontown there a couple of weeks ago. Good news for him is he was able to wrap up the championship. He finished 6th, but our rider up front, who was the man with the plan, he was tough to beat in these conditions today. He took it right to the limit, Mac Reimer.
That's awesome. Those guys have been battling all year, and great riders, and really cool to see.
Well, as we took off this morning, as you can see, the conditions were a little bit sloppy, but even then, they were better than what they were whenever the afternoon race took off. Now, I know that, you know, out on the track, it was a little bit sloppier, but it started tacking up pretty quick. This is one of the more difficult hill climbs out there that these guys had to traverse earlier today. And you can see how quick they got up, but how quick they were also getting into some of that dry dirt. So, you know, even though it was a little bit tougher and wetter this morning than what the 8 a.m. Youth ATV riders saw yesterday, these guys were able to find the traction they needed.
This one, you're picking up your very first win of the season.
Yeah, it feels really good. The track, I was hoping it rained because it was looking dusty yesterday, but track was really slippery. That's what I like.
Good work, man. Is this an indication of what we're going to see in the next and final round?
Yeah, I hope. It's always to win the goal.
All right, there you go. Mac Reimer, first place finish today. Back to you guys in the studio.
Well, congratulations to Mac on that. And Mac, I know, is going to be excited about heading over to Ironman here in a few weeks. And I'm pretty excited about that one as well. And I know a lot of folks are. Great venue that we're going to be heading to over there. And, you know, I love the Ironman, especially since they put the new moto track in. I mean, the camping, the parking, it's elevated that much more. But hey, just to let folks know, if you're planning on going to the Ironman, we do have preferred camping available. They'll be doing kind of like a lotto type thing. So what you want to do is go on the GNCCracing.com. And we're about 20 days away, so if you're going to be going, you're going to want to get in there as quick as you can and get your reservations for that preferred camping. And that'll put you, make sure that you know you're on solid ground, on stone, And I just got the word it will open this week, so be watching GNCC Live. We'll also shout it out in our social media. So if you're following GNCC Racing, and that should help you keep that particular thing in your forethoughts there. Whenever it comes up, say, oh yeah, I got to get it. You never know. If it's going to rain, you don't want to be parked out in the mud, man. You want to be parked on that gravel or something. They got some of that. So check it out. Be watching GNCCRacing.com for that. 47,000 viewers today along Facebook. Want to welcome everyone to RacerTV.com today. We had over 25,000 for our ATV show today. We're nearly doubling that here today with the two-wheel side of things. So we just want to welcome everybody aboard on Facebook Live here at RacerTV.com. And we hope you're enjoying what you're watching right now. What you're looking at is the Powerline mud hole. We are on lap number 4 as we have lap 3 wrapped up right now. Caleb Russell leading the overall out here today. As we started out today, early on, Lane Michael on fire, XC2 250 Pro Class leader. He was literally running a little faster lap time, about 20 seconds faster than everybody on that first lap. At the end of the second lap, he was only 0.6 of a second behind Caleb Russell on adjusted time. And when they came through the last time, we'd seen that that had dropped quite a bit. It gone to about a minute and, well, about 46 seconds actually. So about 46 seconds. So from 0.6 of a second to 46 seconds. Caleb's on rails right now, but Lane Michael is also still running a very competitive race back there in the XC2 class. Josh String running in the number 3 position. Overall, he's second XC1 class. Grant Baylor was running in the number 3 spot in class, 4th place overall. Ricky Russell, whom we've been keeping a close eye on today, the number 212 out of Washington. He's running 5th overall. He is 4th in class, and keeping an eye out as well for the multi-time National Enduro champ, Russell Bobbitt, who seems to have found a nice home here in GNCC Racing on the 113 KTM. He's 6th overall, 5th in the XC1 Pro class, but we also saw him making some leaps and bounds out there. It looked like he was starting to reel some folks in. Lots of families and friends and folks out at the Powerline mud hole, just waiting patiently for your leaders to make their way through this section. It looks like those guys are actually watching live. So, hi guys, we're seeing you. Wave at us if you can see us. They may be a little bit of a lag down there for those guys right now, but that's pretty cool. I mean, we are situated so close to the interstate in such a big town right now that everybody has cell service here today. Everybody has data, so you can walk around the woods and watch literally the Racer TV right there on your phones. I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I use it all the time, so that's where I know where my riders are or aren't, and the kids and everything. I think it's great to have that live timing because that's such a hard thing to do, especially when it's muddy. The old school days, forget about it. You had no idea who was even in the lead or even if they're in your class. So having the bar scan and the scoring like GNCC has is fantastic.
And I remember, Steve, I think it was mid-90s, around 96, 97, they were still using paper scoring. I remember. I think it was around 98 maybe when we first started getting our first computerized scoring. And to me, it revolutionized the world of off-road racing as far as I was concerned, because you were able to finally really know what was going on. When they came through and they did the barcode scan, if you remember that, they did the barcode scanning, you got exact times out there. And that's something that we've never been afforded in off-road racing. I mean, yeah, we got it, the stopwatch and the barrels and stuff like that, but that encountered a lot of human error. Now you take that equation out of it, and it is, I think, brought a whole different level to the world of off-road racing, and GNCC in particular.
For sure. And if you think about it, even, I mean, we know kind of where the top pro riders are, but on an amateur level, they're all being way more accurate on the pit boards for their riders.
Right.
So you're going, oh, hey, you know what? You had a 2-minute lead, and now it's 3, or now it's down to 1.
And it's afforded these kids in the lower classes an opportunity to become stars quicker also, because we can recognize what kind of achievements they're making on the fly rather than waiting 2 weeks to recognize what they did at the last race. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. And you can, like you said, get an idea how fast you are compared to a Caleb Russell or compared to anybody else in your class. And I study the lap times all the time after the races, especially on Monday, and talk to my riders then. And it's such an indicator as far as telling you how the riders are doing, if they're getting tired, when their fastest laps are. you know, the conditions change, what really happened behind the scenes. So if you use all the tools that GNCC is providing, you can really fill in the gaps and understand where you need to push or where do you need to get better. Maybe it's you get worn out at the 2 or 3 laps to go. We need to work on the finish.
Yeah, and you know, so much has changed. I think with the timing and being able to figure these sorts of things out and nitpick little things like that, I think it's made the racing side, the athlete side of it, a lot more scientific as well. I mean, I think it's helped people to realize that they need to, that they need to, and it helps them show where their weaker spots are and the same things that they need to work on. I mean, it's, like I say, I love it. Tom Merschberg and those guys that I've heard way back in the day, man, TMC Pro Stats, I think it was, that we were working with back there so many years ago. Man, it helped really pave the way with what the timing and scoring that we have here today. Folks, if you're not following us on social media, we certainly encourage you to do so at GNCC Racing there on Twitter. Don't forget also RacerTV. You'll want to follow us on that as well. And while we got a moment here, I was talking about the 250B class a little bit ago. I'm not real sure what the point standings. I think that's another one of those classes where we have a leader taking maybe the points lead in it, but we got a great championship battle for those 3-4 guys back there in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th place positions. Right now, as we take a look at the 250B class, Dakota DeVore is your class leader. He has a 2-minute and 13-second lead over the field. And as we were saying, that's Blaine Kimry. Kimry, if I'm not mistaken, actually got the whole shot out there in that class earlier this morning, and Dakota is actually your point leader. Look at the point standings right there, 166 to 161 and 161. Mike DeLosa, the 3rd place ride, number 441, he's right now about 7 minutes behind Blaine Kimry on the track right now. He is currently 3rd place position, and he is a few positions. Chase Sweeta right now in 6th place, so we're going to see that start to separate a little bit after today if this doesn't change. So Mike DeLosa might kind of secure himself into a 2nd place position while we're watching Dakota DeVore secure himself in that national championship title spot. Chase Sweeta still back there in contention of this one, so it's going to be interesting to watch that one, how close that one was, what it's going to be like at the end of the championship whenever the final checkers fly at Ironman here in a couple of weeks. And again, if you haven't made plans to be there, make your plans now, because it's going to be great. I think it's, what, 3 weeks out now, if I'm not mistaken. We've got, Monster Cup next weekend. We got an off weekend, and then we have the 28th and 29th, that weekend of that week. We will be having the Ironman GNCC. So get your costumes ready. We're going to have a costume contest on Saturday night. We're going to have trick or treat. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to have chapel service on Saturday night as well. I know that kind of is ironic there, Halloween and chapel service on the same night, but we're going to make it work.
Absolutely. Well, in Indiana, for a lot of you that have not been to Indiana, it is always one of my favorites, doing it over the years for whatever, 10 years in a row, and it's got a little bit of everything, fast fields and rough and softness, as well as the hill climbs and creek crossings and everything. So from a racer standpoint, one of the best races. Everybody always asks me what's the favorite GNCCs. Usually Indiana is #1, so if you get a chance to get out there and to race it or to watch it, unbelievable place.
It is, and getting reports right now, Caleb Russell's still out in the lead, guys. As Johnny Gallagher joins us back here in studio, but they're telling us that Caleb is maybe missing a front fender right now, and that could be due to a lot of reasons, man. Heavy weight, run into one of those trees out there, or even going down.
We actually saw that the front fender was flopping after he'd crashed in the rocks. We don't know if that front fender was broken in that crash in the rocks, or as Steve pointed out, or you said, just the weight of the mud itself. So many factors there, but not something that'll be a huge detriment to him, although, that will allow some mud to fly off that tire at the higher speeds on the straightaways and in the fields. That's going to fly where normally it would fly up and hit the fender. Now it's going to fly up upright, straight into the air, and potentially come back, get him in the goggles. We see Tina waving that towel. I don't know if she's, surrendering for the day, or if she's letting them know that Caleb Russell's on his way down to the mud jump. With the veracity she's waving it, I'm assuming this is Caleb Russell, no front fender, and this is him. They're gonna give him the instructions. Here's what you need to do, bud. Nailed it.
Nice. Good job.
Very nice.
So another thing that's interesting in this muddy, slick conditions, guys, is it is so slippery and hard packed underneath that a few of the tricks that the riders do is they have kind of 3 options. One's the tube with air in it, and the idea is to run as little air as you can to get the tires to get traction. Right. A second one's the Moose tubes, which is a solid foam insert we always ran for my whole 20 years as a pro. And what that does is it basically is solid foam, so you cannot get it flat. It does get broken down. The best way to explain the difference, too, especially it's not that rocky here, but the way I would explain it to riders now, with a actually tube, the difference compared to a Moose is a tube's like a ball. It's got air in it, so you bounce it. It bounces it, makes the bike bounce around on the tires more. A Moose is a solid foam insert, so it's like taking a beanbag and throwing it and dispersing it on the ground. So it deadens the rocks or it deadens some of the traction. The third one they have today now, as well as a few other ones, tire balls and different ones like that they can run. So there's a lot of options. The idea is to get as good a traction as you can in days like this. So you almost want to run a flat tire, believe it or not, but you don't want to run a flat tire because it'll roll just as much. So everybody goes, how much air pressure, Steve? And I'm like, as little as you can get away with without getting a flat.
And that's tough, man. I mean, because like you said, you got that roll away. You got to find that happy medium right there that's going to give you the stability that you need in the sidewalls, but at the same time give you that traction area that you're looking for out there. You got to play around with it quite a bit, I'm sure, and sometimes you fail, but sometimes you hit spot on. But I like the newer innovations. I know there's a lot of people still run the tubes, but the bibs and the balls and things like that, I think have really another thing that helped change GNCC and off-road racing. Josh Strang making his way by the Powerline mud hole right now, as down the power line itself, Caleb Russell makes his way here as we wrap up lap number 4 in this overall in the XC1 Pro class as well.
Should we call him Ronnie Russell? Isn't it Ronnie Mack that doesn't have a front fender?
or Caleb Mack.
This is this one of our leaders? Oh, it is. It's Grant BAYLOR. Oh, no. Oh, he hangs on to it, though.
Man.
That was close. I think Tina was wanting him to go farther. Yeah, see how she's now really pushing to the side?
Oh, and there is Russ Bobbitt. Oh,
yeah.
Sort of hangs on to it. Oh.
Knapsack. Traction. Great traction.
Those guys are paying attention.
They better
be. they got special tickets that say space and pay attention.
Here comes Ricky Russell, I believe. We'll see.
Oh, that was a hard hit.
Man, Ricky, I know. And if you remember last time he went through there, he'll take that over what happened last time.
Last time he was stuck.
Yeah.
Still nobody compares to Jordan Ashburn, though.
I know. I wonder how Jordan's doing. I know he had dropped back several positions. I had meant to mention that a few minutes ago, but I don't think I see him now in the top 20, as a matter of fact, as I listen.
No.
You know, guys.
Oh, 17th overall.
Oh, okay. I did miss him there.
Talking about the technique on this jump, it's kind of obviously changed, and they're trying to get him to actually land in a smoother spot without the hole. But what happens also is when they hit it with more force and jump higher, when you come down, you come with more force. So some of those guys that really threw it early and came down, like Ashburn, who was way up in contention for, battling for top 2, when he came down with such force that it really sticks it in there even worse.
Caleb Russell around the final few turns now as we head to the chicanes, and a white flag coming out this time, signifying one more lap to go here at this Powerline Park GNCC. And just another day at the office. Caleb makes these days look so easy, and I guarantee you talk to him, he'll be the first one to admit how much he hates riding in these types of conditions. But, the great thing about it is he is a true champion. He's making the best out of it.
Well, I'll go ahead and say it. Earlier this year, there was a lot of talk on social media. We're not trying to go negative with this, but a lot of naysayers and a lot of haters posting things along the lines of races being rescheduled and canceled, and, that the glorious champion Caleb Russell can't ride in the mud. And, well, folks, here's a mud race, and Caleb Russell is running away with it.
And it's probably the slickest mud race.
Yeah.
I know the Indiana was tough but this is slick. This is hard conditions. These are very, I wouldn't call them treacherous, but very, very, very tricky, if you want to ask me.
Absolutely. Some of the toughest conditions we've seen all year, which is evident by the gaps that we're seeing open up throughout this. But it's also creating some good battles as we see, you know, this 8-way battle over second place overall, basically. Maybe not 8, but I think there's 4 or 5 guys that have a shot at that second place spot right now. So, and obviously, you know, nothing in hand other than, as you pointed out earlier, and Rodney, I was going to mention that as well, Caleb Russell has wrapped up this championship. We don't want to take anything away from the celebration when he crosses the finish line, but for those of you watching at home wondering what Caleb Russell has to do, he did it when Thad Duvall did not line up today, and Caleb Russell did. There was a mathematical chance by, I believe it was 2 points, that Thad could have still won the championship had he have won the last 2 rounds, and Caleb Russell did not race the last 2 rounds. When Caleb lined up and Thad Duvall did not, that cinched the 2017 GNCC XC1 and overall championship for Caleb Russell. As we watch here, Josh Strang now coming through, the number 114 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna rider, looking really good. You know, he's carrying good speed, and we'll see exactly what the gap is, but I think he might have possibly gotten a little bit closer to Caleb that lap. Well, I'll wait and see. It was a minute 20, I think, last lap, but maybe still around the same. We'll see once scoring updates here.
Well, I gotta commend Josh Strang, man. I mean, quietly today, he has ridden a very strong and consistent race, and you know, he's doing it in these conditions again that are a little more challenging. So I think we're starting to see that. You know, I seen Josh earlier today. There was a little bit of a limp, but I see the fire and the hunger in Josh, I think, more because as he came in limping this morning after being out there on the track, and he was out there on the track, he was studying several different places on the course. So that tells me that Josh is really, really feeling better, and he's wanting to get back up into a possibility of taking wins. And I know, talking to him today, that's what he really wanted to do, was come out here and win today.
Yeah, you know, you're right, Rodney. I talked to him, had a chance this earlier today, and you can see the fire in somebody's eyes when it's back. And he definitely was back and wanted to have a good race, and you could tell he was quietly confident. And I know, obviously, injuries and all that, as we all know, it's a really tough one to overcome. But you could see that he was wanting, you know, a great result, and he's going out there and proving that he can do it.
Absolutely, and we've seen now our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place riders come through. That was Strang in 2nd, 3rd place was Grant Baylor, and 4th place Russell Bobbitt. So those guys have now all worked their way through. We did not see Lane Michael check in, or at least through the VP Field.
He's not yet. Uh-oh, just got a report that that Craig DeLong may be our new XC2 leader, and I'm not sure what that would have meant as far as problems there for Lane Michael, but wow, what a heartbreaker if that is the case.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a big shake up there. Just seems like just moments ago we saw Lane Michael battling for potentially a win and certainly a podium.
Oh, yeah, there he is. DeLong checks in. He's now 3rd place overall. He just turned a 34:48 lap time, and that brought him into 3rd place overall, just ahead of Grant Baylor. If you do the math, he's got about 2 seconds that we're looking at over Grant Baylor heading into this final lap of racing. So we're starting to split hairs already with just a lap to go. Again, not sure what happened to Lane Michael, but Lane did just check in. He is 26 seconds behind Craig DeLong. He had a 59-second lead over DeLong a lap ago, so he's somehow or another lost 1 minute and 25 seconds.
Wow, that's a big change. That's a big swing there.
Yeah, and sometimes, guys, as we all know, out there on a hill that none of the mechanics or people or spectators are at, you can get a lapper and just get it just slightly wrong, and next thing you know, you're pinning it, and you're trying to get out of there, and you know, lock bars with the lapper, or they get in your way, or something happens, you go off a bank, and your minute or 2 goes by really quickly.
And I imagine there's probably, I mean, we see the Powerline mud hole, but with the rains and stuff, there has to be other mud holes developing out there too, so it's probably just as easy to get stuck someplace else.
I'll tell you what, you want to talk about mud holes, let's talk about this guy right here. Scott Kiger pedaling his way by, and he is absolutely covered head to toe on that pedal assist bike, trucking by there. All these crew guys look like they're out there racing themselves. Here's a guy who owns a team, you know, has several businesses at home, but what's he doing with this Sunday? He's out here digging through the mud and just absolutely slobbing around like a pig in slop, gotta love it. That really shows the heart of GNCC racing right there.
Yeah, and to add to all of our listeners out there and viewers, when kind of did a way to go up the hill, he just had a smirk, and that's all you can see is the white of his teeth. So, yeah, a true racer at heart, which is awesome.
Yeah, and they got the Coastal Race Team that had a good show yesterday on the ATV side of things. Bryson Neal ended up with a podium position finish there yesterday, so he's got a lot to smile about this weekend.
Absolutely. There is Lane Michael working his way by on camera. We did just see Grant Baylor a little further up the track. So Baylor into that third place spot in XC1 and fourth overall with Craig DeLong now bumping up into that third place overall position. I was looking at the gaps here, Steve, and as we look, there's a 41-second gap from Josh Strang back to Grant Baylor. So with Baylor only about 2 seconds behind Craig DeLong, DeLong has quite a bit of ground to make up if he wants to take a chip out of Josh Strang for that second place spot. But if he can, in fact, hang on to the gap that he has over Grant Baylor, that would be his first ever overall podium. And the second time in second time in the last 3 races that we've seen an XC2 Pro Lights guy on the overall podium with third and fourth place overall at Unadilla with Ben Kelly in fourth and Lane Michael in third. Those guys absolutely killing it there. And, we watched that battle right down to the finish. And I'll tell you what, as we watch this lovely young lady here, Tina, that is Caleb Russell's mom. She's letting them know, all right, we're going to go back to this side now for next lap. But everything is constantly evolving. And we actually had a chance to speak with Caleb Russell, who's leading this one a little bit earlier today, and get his thoughts on things coming into today's event.
Yeah, this weekend, I'm definitely going for the win. I want to win. And I definitely feel like I laid up a little bit. I left a little bit on the table last race, which Ryan was riding great. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but I just know from how I felt, like how I kind of managed the race, I didn't give it my all. And I was bummed. I thought I had it right. I thought I was good with second. I really did. And I just made a mathematical error in my head while I was racing. So we're going for the win this weekend. I would definitely want to tie the all-time win record, and I would love to take that away from Scott this year as well. So I need to win the next 2, and that's the plan and that's the goal.
So a couple things Caleb talked about that there in that interview there was, he mentioned on the podium 2 weeks ago at Masontown that he was under the impression, based off of his math, that if he finished second, it would go ahead and lock up the championship for him. Reason being based off of the gap that he had on Stu Baylor. And he knew that he needed to only beat Stu Baylor by, I believe it was 3 points at that race to put that out of contention. What he had forgotten about, because Thad Duvall was not competing in our last event. There is Caleb Russell on screen. Now, look at that. Did you see that mid-straightaway correction there? A little sketchy. But he had actually forgotten that Thad Duvall would still mathematically at least have a chance at this championship. Did actually get a message from Thad just a little bit ago that he was watching RacerTV. So obviously tough go to him, to be sitting at home watching this one. He was actually doing some bike prep. He is back on the machine and preparing to hopefully clinch that National Enduro title. But he did still have a mathematic shot at it. So when they crossed the finish line, Caleb Russell was a little bit frustrated with himself, with the situation. And, all I can say is there is Jordan Ashburn. He is not taking any chances on the mud jump anymore. He's going around. He says, no way, forget it. I'm out. I don't want any part of it. That thing got the better of me today. So, again, Russell look at this. Oh, we see some more riders going around, and that is Alex Teagarden spinning a 180 there to come back to have another go at things here. Oh, it paused at just the wrong time.
Oh, got it.
He's going to be good.
Come on, Alex. Yep,
he got through there just fine. But, as we watch that and we see things unfold here, the other thing that Caleb mentioned, other than the fact of his mathematical error and thinking he had the championship wrapped up, and by no means, again, not taking anything away from Ryan Sipes, he himself said Ryan Sipes rode an amazing race, and he doesn't know if he could have beat him outright anyway, but he felt like he left a little bit on the table. Here is Jack Edmondson, XC3 Pro Lights leader, and he is through there with not too much struggle, a little bit of feet off the pegs, flying W, but he also mentioned that all-time win record of potentially tying that today or wanting to tie that today before the race. If he is able to get that win, that would put him at 46 wins, tying him with the great Scott Summers for overall win record in in motorcycles with 46. And he also mentioned, I thought it was interesting, before he was even able to get that tied up, he mentioned, I'd also like to take that away from Scott this year. So there's 2 races left, and I'd like to win them both. So here's a guy, you know, looking to wrap up a championship. He apparently, in his mind, he learned his lesson 2 weeks ago at Masontown, not coming in here conservatively saying, look, I only need to score a point to wrap this up, so we're just going to do that. He said, nope, I'm coming in to win, and oh, by the way, I want to win the next one as well. So that just kind of shows you the mindset of Caleb Russell and what he's thinking kind of coming into this event.
Yeah, and good point. You know, Caleb's always thinking about the future and setting lofty goals, and that's why he's, you know, 5-time champ, as well as, you know, Scott Summers did this a long time, won a lot of championships and a lot of races, and for Caleb to match that and potentially beat that this year's a huge history mark, as well as shows the mentality. I know a few years back, working with Caleb, he brought me down for 10 days to do a boot camp with him, and Josh Strang and a few of the guys were there, and they're like, you've won like 7 out of the 9 GNCCs this year. Why do you have Steve down here help, you know, tuning you up a little, if you will? And he said, I'm thinking of next year already. So he's smart, he's gifted, and he's determined, and he puts those fun challenges out there. And, you know, like we mentioned before, it's all about having that motivation, and what are you racing for besides just winning? You have to make it bigger than yourself, if you will, and paint the story however you need to get up for the game, or in these cases, obviously, get up for the race each and every time, as you know, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and Caleb, as you pointed out, you know, he's aware of his surroundings. He knows exactly where he's at within each race, and also within, you know, championship scenarios. And I think this year, by far, is the closest we've seen anyone battle Caleb Russell in a number of years. You know, we've seen riders make a run at him for a portion of a season. We've seen riders go on a couple race run and get things close. You know, and last year we saw Josh Strang kind of, you know, keep things tight for about a little over half the season, and then you know, some injuries came into play and some things happened, and, you know, kind of sewed it up. And with this year, I mean, Thad Duvall all the way through up until the summer break, you know, had Caleb Russell toe-to-toe, basically. I mean, those guys went into the summer break virtually tied on points. I think there was 1 or 2 points separating them, and then unfortunately that untimely injury for Thad kind of I wouldn't say didn't by any means sew things up, but, you know, put Caleb in a much better position. So, you know, Caleb knows that each year it seems things get a little bit closer, and although he's a dominant rider and a great rider, you never want to sit on your high horse and just wait for things to happen. He looks down the road and sees, you know, obviously Strang putting a good run in last year, Thad Duvall with incredible talent, and, you know, kind of really figuring out his program these last couple of years, becoming a real threat. You know, you look back to that XC2 class, you've got guys like Josh Toth and some younger guys coming up through there that, you know, could potentially, Lane Michael, who I believe we'll see in our XC1 class next year, being that he is 23 years old. This will be his last season in the XC2 Pro Lights class. So all these guys have talent and speed, and Caleb Russell just being prepared to, you know, go out and battle those guys is something that you can't take for granted. You have to put the prep work in, and as you pointed out, looking ahead, he's always doing just that.
Right, good point.
There's Caleb Russell on screen right now, I believe, without that fender.
Yeah, he's easy to spot now. Yeah, and I think all of us, you know, as fans of the sport and enjoying all the riders, it's great to see a battle, of course. We always want that, right? So Thad Duvall really came out of last year in the offseason, trained up, looking good, sharp, and racing really good, and had a great season going. Unfortunately for the injury at 6 days, but the good news is hopefully he can battle back, still get the Enduro Championship out of it. You know, great competitor, great guys, so it's a bummer not seeing out here today and having that battle to the finish. And I know, like you had mentioned before, I think at Unadilla, Rodney, that Caleb doesn't want him just to be a give me, if you will, so he wants to fight for it, which is what all champions want to do.
Yeah, and for Caleb, look at that. For Caleb, he certainly had his opportunities to do that. There are folks trying different areas of the Powerline mud hole, and as we pointed out, there's not many places that are much better to get across if they are.
That's
worse, actually, I think.
Austin Lee, so he's one of the top XC2 guys usually, so he's no stranger to try to pick a good line. And well, yeah, when you see everybody pulling and praying and pushing, that's a mess. But you know, great job to all the spectators to jump in there and get muddy, and it's pretty cool to see everybody, you know, try to help out.
It is.
Looks like there, I think that's Josh Strang, if I'm not mistaken. So he should still be solidly, yeah, solidly in second, with not very far to go to the finish.
Well, right now, as we watch, just real quick to give you an idea, it's XC2, Craig DeLong, Lane Michael, Josh Toth up to third now. He's 3 minutes and 9 seconds behind Lane Michael, but what a good steady ride for Toth today after wrapping up that championship. Benjamin Kelly is in the number 4 spot. Mike Wachowski is 5th. Jesse Grom in 6th. Sam Evans is 7th. Zach Nolan in 8th. 9th is Ryder Lafferty. And rounding out the top 10 then is Evan Smith there in the XC2 class. But again, the big news right now as we roll here toward the end of this race, Caleb Russell, as we pointed out a million times, in the realm of ready to basically tie Scott Summers for the all-time wins record, and on motorcycles at 46. And wow, just think, in 2011, his first win took place right here at Powerline Park. Here we are some 6 years later now, and he has amassed 45, now working on 46 wins. That's pretty impressive stuff. So my hat's off to Caleb Russell, no doubt. But again, you know, Josh Strang, big things going on for Josh, man, to see him be able to come back, push through, and just motor through this day. I mean, even when it looked like he was going to have the worst of days, found himself still in that second place position. You know, at times he was back in third or fourth on time adjustments, but now he's solid in second. Craig DeLong getting around Lane Michael physically in the XC2 Pro class there. He has now moved into the third place overall position, and if you look at it, he's about 40 seconds off of the adjusted time of Josh Strang, and only about 2 seconds ahead of Grant BAYLOR whenever they went into the final lap. So BAYLOR still, if he runs a good lap here, still stands a good chance to get back up in that top 3 overall. But Craig DeLong right now, XC2 rider, is, well, got credit for third place overall position. So we got a lot of cool things happening as we wait for Caleb Russell to make his way into the finish line. Right now, I believe is that DeLong right there motoring his way?
I believe it is. Yep, Craig right there.
Craig
is excited. You can tell by his whatever it takes, slip sliding away.
Look at the mud packing up under that bike and then dropping off. I will note they're here on the roadway, and I'm sure on the track too. Things are slick, but they're tacky at the same time. It's a weird consistency. I know it's kind of hard to really explain that, but it's slick, but at the same time got a little bit of tack to it as well.
Yeah, you're right, and that's why it's so deceiving as a racer. You think you've got it, and you don't. Because it looks like, oh yeah, this, oops, so we see a rider go down in the mud hole there.
That's a coastal racing rider. I don't know if that's, is that one of the, I don't see green backgrounds on that one. I can't quite make out a number on that one. Is that Edmondson maybe?
No, he would be, what color are they?
They would be blue.
Yeah, and he's 118, so I don't think that had a number we could recognize.
Oh man, but a coastal bike having some issues through that Powerline mud hole here as we are in the closing moments and waning moments. I believe we did have a white flag last time around, right?
Yeah, yep, we should be coming right to the finish. And it's interesting because, you know, we've been watching this on that jump, Rodney, and for the last, whatever, 2.5 hours. And I've got a good idea where I would go, but that's just because I've watched about 100 riders jump it or more, right? So when you're a racer and they're kind of like have their arms in the air shrugging, going, good luck, it doesn't boost your confidence. So it's definitely a technical spot, to say the least, as we've seen many riders end their race right there.
A lot of riders now opting to go the long way around, and many of them, I'm sure, probably landing in those holes in previous laps. Snake bitten, if you will. And of course, we got a report there, I think, that Stu, did you say Stu? Stu BAYLOR in the pits and on the ground, and unfortunately right now, Steve, it's going to be tough to head down there and find out what's going on, but man, that's a heartbreaker for Stu BAYLOR. Man, that kid has had such a phenomenal year, and the last couple of rounds of racing, man, he's really taken some pretty hard licks, I have to say.
Yeah, he came out of the season just like, you know, Thad Duvall as far as training and pushing, and a different Stu BAYLOR than we've seen. So really impressive. He's had a great season, and he's always tougher than a box of nails. And sounds like, yeah, if he's in the pits and he's not feeling good, hopefully he's all right.
Yes, for sure. So we'll try to get an update on Stu here at some point. But right now, we know he is out of this one. And that's going to move quite a few people up here in these waning moments of this Powerline Park GNCC. And man, you know it's got to be something pretty big for Stu Baylor just to pull off and lay down in the pits like that. So I don't know if it would be maybe from that crash that he had out there on the Powerline mud hole early on, and he had to come in and change that brake hose, or what the case may be. But there's a lot of variables out there, a lot of circumstances and scenarios I'm sure that could have arisen over the course of 2 hours now and nearly 30 minutes.
Yeah, these races being so long, anything can happen, as we can see, the few seconds we can see here and there on some of the technical spots with the jumps or anything like that. You know, you can see it in an instant when they do get stuck or something happens. With 10 spectators trying to pull them out, and you still can't get the bike out. You can imagine in the middle of the woods by yourself.
Well, there's our security, Kevin, and one of our, I guess you could say, he's one of the office dudes. He helps keep things in order. Jeremy Holbert down there right now. They are witnessing for themselves the closing moments of this Powerline Park GNCC, and man, I just love this. I love this shot. I love the shot coming into the finish line with the power towers and the power lines themselves there, man. I mean, it really gives you the feel of why we call this Powerline Park GNCC, and it's true to the nature, no doubt. 17 years we've been coming here to Powerline Park. Just 6 years ago, Caleb Russell captured his first win right here in the soils of southeastern Ohio. And here we are some 6 years later as he is about to make history in becoming, well, tying for the winningest motorcycle racer of all times as of right now. And the great thing about it is, man, this record that he is about to tie today, once he breaks it, every time he wins, it's going to be setting a new record, raising that bar for whoever's coming behind Caleb to try and match, man. And you know, I'm sure a lot of people wondered if and when it would ever happen, whether or not Scott Summers' record would ever be matched. And as we closed in on it, it became reality at some point last year that we were looking at it happening. And it's just amazing how quick it happened. I mean, back in the day, man, you didn't see it happening that much.
Right. And he's been battling at it and has, obviously, I'm sure if you did the statistics, a great win record, Rodney, as well as still takes years. Look at, you know, 5-time champion now, and how many races
it took him
he's
several
done.
years to get to the point to where he won his championship, too.
Absolutely.
Well, right now, as we look out here over this Powerline mud hole, we wait patiently with bated breath at this time to find out just exactly how the day will be wrapping up whenever the checkers finally fly here to Polaris Polaris Ace Powerline Park GNCC, and a lot of P's in that one. Caleb Russell, Josh Strang, and now Craig DeLong is in the number 3 spot, your XC2 pro leader. Grant Baylor only 2 seconds behind him in 4th. Russell Bobbitt is 5th. Lane Michael in the number 6 spot after leading the overall for a good portion of the day today, dropping back to 2nd in his class. 7th is Ricky Russell. 8th is Jonathan Gerard. Josh Toth is 9th. Benjamin Kelly rounds out the top 10. And of course, still to come, the checker flag. And we're going to invite you folks to stick around because there's a lot of things ready to happen. History being one of them. Caleb Russell about ready to tie the all-time wins record of Scott Summers with 46. Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
Introducing SoundArt, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. SoundArt is elegantly hidden behind a high-grade, textured canvas wrap, bringing together the best of sound and art. This innovative design allows for a truly invisible, high-fidelity sound experience without bulky speakers. SoundArt by Ansia. Your art never sounded so good.
Razor, Ranger, Sportsman, Ace. If you live for the outdoors, there's a Polaris to match your passion. Confident, comfortable, capable. That's Ace. With a solo cockpit, automotive controls, independent suspension, all-wheel drive, and up to 45 horses of fuel-injected power. Calling it revolutionary would be an understatement. Polaris. the world leader in off-road innovation.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2018 Yamaha YZ450F is now available at LoJack Cycle Sales. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service and 15 national championships, we know racing. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZ. It's why we ride.
And welcome back to GNCC Live, St. Clairsville, Ohio, the Powerline Park GNCC. It is round 12, the penultimate round. One more to go after this as we'll be heading to the Ironman in Crawfordsville, Indiana. But right now we're waiting to see whether or not Caleb Russell is going to be able to hang on to this and set history here today by tying Scott Summers in the all-time wins record at 46. And then, of course, we already know that Caleb Russell has secured his 5th consecutive championship. So we are witnessing history here today on RacerTV. Thanks to the nearly 50,000 strong watching across Facebook Live here today. Appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out what's going on. And of course, across live stream, as well as our friends at RacerTV.com itself, our host site. So a lot of folks out watching and anticipating what's taking place as far as GNCC is concerned here today. And we are glad that you have chosen to be a part of this historic moment in off-road racing, folks. Rodney Tomlin here, Steve Hatch, the great Steve Hatch, is joining us. Johnny Gallagher on his way down to the finish line right now as he will be talking with our winner, Caleb Russell, here in just a few moments. And Steve, I tell you, man, a long time since we first crossed paths, man, and to see GNCC reach the limits and levels. 50,000 people watching online, man. That's pretty impressive numbers. Did you ever expect to hear or see anything like that?
No, I think it's fantastic, and it just shows, you know, the GNCC's been around for a long time, as well as has followers all over the United States and the world. So, and it's such a good series in the fact that they're obviously organized in a track like this in a normal conditions with normal clubs or organizations trying to run it would be really, really tough to keep people moving around the track, as well as you know, changing the track as needed. They're always right on the ball, and that's the thing that when I raced all the GNCCs, really impressed with.
I'll tell you, it sounds like we got some pretty cool things going on. As we mentioned, Johnny Gallagher down by the finish line. He's actually standing by with Antti Kallinen, who is the KTM team manager.
No worries. I think we're back looking at the mud hole jump.
Yeah, we're staring at the mud hole jump right now. But anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought of where I was going with everything there for a minute. But folks, you know, again, just amazing to be able to be here, be a part of this this historic moment again. Glad to have you folks on board with us. The rain is starting to fall. We expected rain showers about right now. They came a little earlier, but I think once this rain sets in, it's going to be in for the long haul for us. I hope it holds off a little bit longer, because the celebrations are about to start taking place here, man. I mean, again, tying the all-time wins record at the place that you took your first win, man. I mean, talk about full circle in your career, being able to do that and come back here and do it. That means when we step into Ironman, man, he's looking at a new era in the Caleb Russell era of racing, if you want to look at the big picture of things right now.
Yeah, which is amazing. You know, he's been that dominant for so many years, and like you said, the first win back here, as well as, you know, going forward, whoever's going to try to break this record is going to have to be dominant for, I would have to guess, at least 4 or 5 years, even if they won, you know, 90% of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're going to have a rider that basically is dominating like Walker Fowler does on the ATV side of things. And if you do that, get 9, 10, 11 wins a season for 4 or 5 years in a row, you might be. But think about it, man. How hard is it to get 1 win, let alone 10 or 12 or even 13 wins in a season? You know, I mean, even 7 wins is a tough year. And Caleb Russell will probably be one of the first ones to tell you that. Even though he's been able to do that, it's not easy.
Right. There's no gimmies here. And as you can tell, just even watching the riders jump across the creek here, it's so quickly you can, you know, be hero to zero, zero to hero. Just give it, you know, 1 foot out here of a 12-mile track.
You can go through that thing in 1 lap. You can go through that thing, smash it, look great. Everybody be there cheering for you. You're the guy. Come back around the next time. Stick your front wheel in a little hole, kind of like what Jordan Ashford did out there a little bit ago. And then, like you say, hero to zero that quick. But, you know, the great thing about it is you're still kind of a hero to those race fans out there because they all jump out there. We saw him out there working to try to get Jordan. It was just so, he was just suctioned in so tight there. Here comes Caleb Russell. This is his fast time, the last time, past the
nice.
The mud hole there, the Powerline mud hole, and he gets across without much incident or much issue. So now we wait to see Josh Strang. I think he was about, what, a minute 20 behind, if I'm not mistaken, at the end of the last race. 141 is what he had dropped to the last time. The positions we're watching, though, are going to be that of Craig DeLong and Grant Baylor. DeLong had a 2-second advantage on adjusted time after we wrapped up lap number 4 there. We'll see what happens here in lap number 5. And I will say this, here's the thing. Both riders traditionally get stronger and faster toward the end of the race. So this one's kind of a toss-up as to who's going to get faster and who's going to end up coming out on top of this one. With only 2 seconds separating the two, and they're not even physically close on the racetrack right now. It's going to be interesting to see where it does fall once the checker flag does fly on this one.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You kind of learn riders and learn what their strengths and weaknesses are and their template of a pattern, if you will. So one of the tricks is knowing some of the riders that get going faster as the race, you know, progresses, and learning that. So you're exactly right, Rodney, is not knowing, and it's not over till it's over, and this is definitely going to be one that you're just running the stop clock.
Yeah, and you're just waiting. We're going to be waiting to see where it all falls into place. And look at this. This track is really in those low-lying areas starting to create some challenges, man. I mean, it's not intraversible. It's not.
Oh, that's Josh there. So he made it through clean.
Yeah, so still about just under that 2-minute mark.
Oh man, he just slammed his head. Ouch. Off the handlebars.
So this track isn't one of those tracks where you can say it's dangerous, it's this, it's that, man. What you can say is it's challenging. It's got its challenges.
That's the understatement of the day, I think, Rodney, for sure. Those guys that were stuck that we just saw, they were in the easy line, so that's challenging a lot.
Speaking of the easy lines, look at this, man. It looks like Caleb has found the easy line for the most part around this racetrack nearly all day long as we watch him here heading through the power line section of this track one final time. That is, again, one of my favorite shots right there. The story that tells you exactly where you are right there from the finish line. And I love this shot because we get to see so much action of these guys. And had these guys been wheel to wheel, like I seen some of the single seat racing yesterday and some of the four-wheeler racing, had they been wheel to wheel going, that's some pretty cool racing that you get to watch from a distance and get to watch it work its way all the way to you. And that's one of the things that I like about this Powerline Park, because we've got unique opportunities to be able to do that here where we don't in a lot of other places.
Yeah, it's nice when you can see the track in numerous places, like you said, Rodney, and get to know from a spectator standpoint, even if you don't. I mean, we've been saying that we're using the live time minute scoring, which is amazing. It looks like, is that? Oh, no, I don't. I was thinking
Grant Baylor. That is Grant.
Oh,
Grant,
man,
this right here might be the telltale sign. That right there might be the deciding factor into this, whether or not he's going to be top 3
that's,
overall.
I think, Russell Bobbitt. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, it sure is.
Russell
That's the
Bobbitt.
battle.
Bobbitt just, Russell has technically made the pass, and now he is going. So Russell Bobbitt has just moved into 3rd place
and
in
Grant's
the XC1 class. Grant Baylor is getting stuck worse and worse. He keeps moving down that power line, and he keeps finding worse, deeper mud, and he's still got folks out there trying to pull him out of it right now, but to not much avail. Here we go. We finally get across the mud hole, but he's still not out of it yet.
No, that just, the bottom just goes away, and I think he's safe now.
He's back on his bike, and he's going now, but wow, he just
20
lost.
seconds.
Oh, I was going to say probably closer to 40.
Yeah.
35 to 40 seconds, but there he is. Here it is, folks, down into the final chicanes. Caleb Russell here in his home state of Ohio at this Powerline Park GNCC, traversing these final few turns on his way to sealing the deal and stamping it all in the history books as he wipes that front number plate off, my friends. He has this fifth championship wrapped up as he makes his way in, and Caleb Russell now ties the all-time wins record at 46 and becomes a 5-time GNCC champion.
Nicely done. Yep, that's awesome. It never comes easy, and they should all be excited. And yeah,
look
here
at
comes
that.
the champagne all over.
Showers everywhere. Caleb, it may have not necessarily gone to exactly the way that he wanted, but it went to the plan that he wanted. That was to come out on top and do exactly what he did. The sweet taste of victory right there, my friends. Caleb Russell enjoying it at the finish line there with his team manager, Auntie Collin, right now. His wife is there. There is his little sister down there, his sister-in-law, family and friends surrounding him at this historic moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think Auntie was trying to give him some champagne and got the eyes mostly, but it doesn't matter at this moment when you win the championship and your fifth one straight, as well as battle that whole time. And a Stoke team, there's a lot of time, effort, energy, finances, everything that goes in there. Amazing. And we can see Johnny.
There's Dad. There's Dad. That's what we want to see right there. Did you see that hug? I mean, he snuck right in there, gave his boy a big old hug. And, of course, there's his son. 3 generations of Russells right there. We've got 4 on the property. His dad, his grandpa, Caleb's grandpa, out on a dozer right now helping. Look at, oh, did you see that?
That's awesome. Crew giving him a kiss. And,
oh, wow. That's amazing. Let's head on down to the winner's circle right now where Johnny Gallagher stands with our now 5-time GNCC champion.
All right, folks, here we are. Caleb Russell, today's GNCC Powerline Park overall winner, 5-time GNCC champion, and now tied with Scott Summers with 46 overall wins, making you right at the top of that list. Which of those 3 sounds the best to you?
All of it. I mean, today was a good day. Man, it looked like it was going to be really awesome. You know, this afternoon before it started raining, then it got really nasty and slick, and it was good at the beginning, and then it was slick, and when it started raining, then it was good again, then it rained a little bit there at the end. It was super slick, and I felt awesome all day. My bike worked really well, and I was happy with it, and I made a dumb mistake. I fell over, broke my front fender off, and then I was just kind of squidding it out after that. I was just roosting myself out. But, yeah, it's a great year. I'm happy to get number 5 and tie the all-time wins record today.
Well, today was one of those days where, you know, you said it was a pretty good day for you. You felt good all day, and your bike was great all day. But you obviously spent some time on the ground. We saw you on camera the one time in the rocks. You're missing a front fender. Looks like the left side was all bent down when you came in. I mean, it was really just a treacherous course out there. Was there a lot of challenges throughout the whole day for you?
The first lap was really tricky because right before we started, it rained. So we were all real timid, and something happened, man. I felt really good going in the second lap, and I got in the lead, and I kind of sprinted out. And I really didn't make any mistakes until you guys see me there in the rock pile, and I just hit that log, and the log was so slippery. And when I landed, my front fender was so heavy from all the mud, it just snapped it right there, and then it eventually broke off. But it was really tough to ride after that. I'm not used to trying to follow my front wheel, so it's a lot different. It's hard. It's tough to see what you're doing.
Well, excitement throughout the day and tons of challenges, but Caleb Russell gets the job done. Again, today's Powerline Park overall winner, 5-time GNCC champion, and now tied with Scott Summers with 46 wins on the all-time wins list, with just 3 weeks from now the opportunity to take over that spot outright if he can win the Ironman GNCC. Back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Johnny. Congratulations, Caleb, man. It's so neat, man. I can remember watching Caleb play in the mud, not even thinking about racing, playing in the mud at Sunday Creek Raceway, the home track of his the Russell family farm where the John Penton GNCC is. I can remember seeing, and it almost brings tears to my eyes, man. I mean, literally, he wasn't much bigger than Crew, maybe a couple of years older than Crew. Crew just turned 2 the other day. And to see Caleb go from that to this, man, I mean, it feels so great for me personally as well, as much as from a fan standpoint, but from a personal standpoint too. So
Absolutely.
Let's head on down to the finish line once again. Johnny Gallagher with Josh Strain.
All right, folks, we're here with Josh Strang, second place at the Powerline Park GNCC. Just over a year ago, you had an injury that set you back. You've been clawing your way back from that all season, the end of last season, and here you sit, second place on the day on one of the toughest GNCCs we've seen in recent memory. How was it out there today, buddy?
Yeah, it was slippery. I was just telling you, Powerline can be slippery whether it's wet or dry. So the rain last night and then the rain during the race. I think the rain during the race was the worst. It made the track just like ice. So I rode a 450, so it was perfect. I could put it in like third or fourth gear and just tractor it along. It was a perfect bike for today. So happy to get up on the podium, man. It's been a struggle the last few races. So it's definitely a relief. Big shout out to Caleb. I know him and I have had some run-ins in the past, but I have huge respect for him, and congrats on the 5th title. I mean, it's something I dream about every year, you know, getting another title, and I have goals, but he just keeps clicking them off. So congrats to him. Awesome work.
Well, you know, as far as those titles go, you got to start with wins, and to get wins, you got to start with podiums. And today was a big step in the right direction. I know it's been a long, hard fight for you. How does it feel to finally know that after all that work, it's starting to pay off, especially in these treacherous conditions?
Yeah, I mean, I put in as much work or more than everyone else here. I know that, and it's the last few races, just the results haven't come, and I don't know whether it's bad luck or I'm just out of racecraft. Like, I've lost my racecraft a little, and just the bad results mentally, it's just frustrating. Like, it gets me mentally, and to get a podium, it's good going into Ironman and then going into the off season.
Well, a little more pep in your step after this one today, and we're definitely happy to see you up here, and we'll see you up here on the podium in just a few minutes. And great job out there today, Josh. Back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Johnny. We are right now looking at Russell Bobbitt. We saw the pass being made out there at the Powerline mud hole. Russell Bobbitt will take 3rd in the XC1 Pro class. Grant Baylor will then take 4th, and we see Ricky Russell was checked in the number 5 spot. I am waiting here, and I have to think that I'm waiting for this to update right now, but I'm waiting to see about Craig DeLong and where we are with him and where he ends up here in the overall. I haven't seen him score in just yet, so I think basically it's just a waiting game for us to see where Craig DeLong will be and where it will situate him as far as time adjustments once he makes his way across that finish line.
Yeah, I think so too, Rodney. I saw him physically on screen. I'm pretty sure came through the finish line. I know updating our live timing and scoring hasn't pulled him up yet that I see.
Yeah, here we go. They just updated it. He is 5th place overall. So Russell Bobbitt, congratulations to you, the National Enduro Guru. He just took his first podium in GNCC racing. Congratulations. That is awesome. So we got Caleb Russell, we got Josh Strang, and we got Russell Bobbitt on the podium. Let's head on down now to Johnny Gallagher once again at the winner's circle.
Slipping and sliding, so that gives you a little bit of what the conditions were like out there today. Craig, your first win of 2017 in this XC2 Pro Lights class. You worked hard for it all day. You were a little behind at the beginning, and you were able to track down the early race leader, Lane Michael, get the win, and I believe top 5 overall. We're not exactly sure. We'll check the time here, but great ride for you today. Tell us a little bit about it.
Man, it was gnarly. Like Lane's showing behind us here. It's so slick, and you know, Lane got out. I think it was a minute there when I pitted, and man, I was like, man, it's gonna be harder to catch, make back up. And I had a really good lap there in the middle of the lap. It flowed really good, the track, and I was able to find my lines and really ride well. And I saw him going into Gus's mud hole, and man, once I saw him, the blood was in the water, and I just gave me a little more motivation and ran him down. And he got stuck on the hill climb before the jump, and I just tried to, pin it from there and try to open up a gap. And that last lap, man, I was sweating bullets. I fell over probably 3-4 times, got stuck, and I was like, man, this is not going to end good. So happy to bring it home, and it was a good day.
So with this being the second to last round, you got one more to go here in 3 weeks. Does this give you a little bit more confidence, a little bit more swagger going into Ironman in 3 weeks? You're going to be gunning for that win again?
Always. I've been all year I've been gunning, so I'm happy with second and third, but a win is, tops the cake. So I'm very happy with today.
There you go, folks. Craig DeLong, today's XC2 Pro Lights overall winner and top 5 overall. Great run for him today, and that's.
All right, thanks a lot, Johnny. And yes, an amazing feat by that rider. We were watching to see exactly how that one would wrap up, but how about it, man? Russell Bobbitt in that 3rd place position. 4th place will go to Grant Baylor. Craig does get 5th overall. Ricky Russell will hang on for a 6th place position overall. Lane Michael checking in will take second in the class, and believe it or not, Lane lost 2 minutes and 36 seconds. He had well over a minute lead. He lost a minute and 25 seconds, 26 seconds in that one lap after losing the lead. So whatever happened, Lane just kind of settled into a pace, it looks like, but solid enough for 7th overall and also second in class. Josh Toth will take 3rd in the class. He was only 44 seconds behind Lane Michael when they came across the finish line. 9th place, Jonathan Giroir, and then rounding out the top 10 will be XC2 rider once again. He's your, I believe, 4th place position finisher in that class, Ben Kelly, if I'm reading the results right now. But wow, what a day. Man, amazing. Right from the get-go, I think Caleb said it, you know, I mean, things were looking perfect. And then that little bit of rain before the start of the race today, Steve, it made these guys a little cautious on that first lap.
Yeah, and rightfully so. It's one of those days where if you try to attack it, like we've been mentioning all day, it's easy to misread it and then go on your head, and then your muddy gloves and, you know, mud everywhere, as well as maybe hurting the bike. So it kind of sounded like from Caleb, it came and got better at sometimes when the rain stopped, but it just kept drizzling on and off all day, and it made it a really tough race to get any momentum as well as to keep it so you're upright.
Well, we got some discrepancies here, it looks like, with our unofficial results from what I'm reading and what we're seeing on the board. I think I'm looking at the live timing and scoring, and it's telling us that actually Bobbitt did get 3rd, Grant Baylor in 4th, and then Craig DeLong was 5th place. So if you're sorry about that, the computer having a few little bit of lags over there, it looks like. Maybe it's the computer operator too, I don't know. But anyway, we do know that Russell got his 1st overall 3rd place position. Craig did get the win and top 5 in the XC2 there, so congratulations to him, as we're starting to see folks file out of the Powerline Park itself. And man, I tell you, it's been a good one. I mean, when we started today, I mean, we didn't know what to expect weather-wise. I mean, I was surprised to see that rain come in early, but, you know, as the race wore on, it was really starting to get good, and then that rain came again, and that really, I think that kind of turned things on its head for some people out there.
For sure. I think, you know, it started to look like it maybe in a few spots tacked up a little, not much, but made it passable. But once that rain goes back on there, it makes every single thing slippery. So not only do you have the slippery where it's kind of the blue groove or spun off, so now that's icy, and then you have the muck, which is icy anyway. So you have kind of 2 of the biggest problems once it rains during the race.
Well, congratulations once again to Caleb Russell as he captures win number 46, tying the record of Scott Summers, the all-time bike wins list there, and he hopes to move ahead next race whenever we head to the Ironman here in just a couple of weeks. Also, congratulations for his 5th championship title. Speaking of the Ironman, don't forget that's coming up about 3 weeks. Next week we will have details on the preferred parking. Someone texted me and said, what's the details on the preferred parking? Well, they kind of change up every time. So I'm going to tell you right now, basically just look at the website this week. When it comes out, it'll have all the details and information that you are going to need. Steve, that's going to do it for us. Going to wrap things up. I want to say thanks to Johnny Gallagher for joining us. I want to say thanks to you as well for taking the time out of your day to be here with us. And I know might have gave you a better chance to watch your riders from this perspective as well.
Yeah, I'm a lot drier and not as muddy as I would be if I was running to all the mud holes. So thank you. I appreciate it, Rodney.
Good to have you around. Also, on behalf of all of us here at RacerTV.com, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.